All right, good afternoon, everybody. We are running an hour or two of live coverage on the Southeast Queensland severe thunderstorm outbreak situation. There are some significant severe thunderstorms that are on the cards throughout the course of not only just this afternoon, but over the course of this weekend as well. Really significant potential now lying ahead as we enter one of the stormiest weekends of the year across Southeast Queensland. So we're going to be talking all things supercells, all things whatever is on the storm forecast. That is what we are going to be mentioning in this forecast update and live coverage. Lots of information still to come, so if you are, of course, brand new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. Starting things off, we've got a couple of severe thunderstorms beginning to develop now across Southeast Queensland. If we flick it over to the satellite imagery, we have lots of small cells. Like we said, it's going to be an isolated severe thunderstorm risk today. These thunderstorms aren't going to be anything too big or too crazy, but we do have a supercell now developing, moving through the Gatton area, likely delivering large hailstones. This one is warned for large, potentially giant hailstones are a possibility, and lots of heavy rainfall as well developing from this severe thunderstorm as it moves into the Gatton area, just towards the west of Marburg and Ipswich. And we can see readings right now onto some of the radar here in terms of decibels, up around that 65 decibels mark. So yeah, definitely some pretty significant readings now beginning to develop on this severe thunderstorm. It's packing a punch, that is for sure. This thunderstorm here is it's not a dangerous one, but it is definitely one that I've got my eyes on. It's potentially a threatening storm, and it could go very dangerous at any time. Laidley, you're in the firing line. Toowoomba, you guys dodged this one, but if you look towards the east, you would most certainly see it. And some scattered thunderstorm activity now beginning to move into the Brisbane area as well. And we're expecting this to really pick up in the coming couple of minutes as well. We're going to get through everything on Saturday towards the end of this stream, so stick around for that. But a full forecast is going to come through once we've talked about these severe thunderstorms enough. Lots of lightning as well developing towards the north of Coolum on the Sunshine Coast. Significant severe thunderstorm developing up there, and that looks like that one is also packing a bit of a punch in terms of heavy rainfall. But these ones about to leave the Queensland coastline for now. Reports of pea-sized hail in Coolum. Yeah, this one looks like it's not packing too much in the way of hailstones, but it is definitely packing a lot of precipitation, and that would have also came down in some small hailstones as well in areas. And just flicking it back to the warnings, we do have that detailed severe thunderstorm warning out. Like we said, that severe thunderstorm moving for Laidley. All these storms warned for large hailstones, damaging winds, and heavy rainfall. Moving into the Noosa coastline, we've got another one, and that is that one actually that's moving towards Coolum right now. That's going to track into the Noosa area momentarily and likely drop some very heavy rainfall in the next couple of minutes up there. Also a good thunderstorm in the Somerset region. That's going to head towards the west of Kilcoy up towards Jimma. Thunderstorms are expected to pack a punch there as well. No severe thunderstorm warnings in the Brisbane city area right now. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the Samford Valley, but you can see these thunderstorms here that are moving north of Caboolture. Not anything to be concerned about. And this one here that's moving over the Samford Valley right now and about to cross in towards Strathpine, also not something to be worried about right now. The one that I am starting to be a little bit concerned about is this one that's just passed over Esk and is about to cross the Brisbane River. It's throwing out a lot of lightning, and it looks like this is a maturing severe thunderstorm right now, and it's definitely one that we want to keep our eyes on very, very closely. Let's go in and have a look at some of our Doppler wind readings and see if we can see any rotation. Of course we can around the Marburg area. We do have a rotating thunderstorm there. Now this is of course looking up into the upper levels of the thunderstorm, but you can see just moving over Gatton, that is an area of tight rotation. Very likely that we're looking at a supercell thunderstorm now moving through the Gatton area, and that is something that I want to keep very close tabs on because that will eventually move into the Harrisville area, so just towards the south of Ipswich. Definitely looks like they're going to be in the firing line as well. Lots of reports of lightning, also marbles at Arkwright, but apparently tomorrow is supposed to be worse. Yeah, tomorrow is the big day. And that's the thing that a lot of these pages are overshadowing, is the fact that tomorrow is the big day for these severe thunderstorms. Today is tomorrow's little brother. There are some strong thunderstorms developing, and you can see one here really getting itself going in the Samford Valley area. But tomorrow is business for the Brisbane CBD area right down to the Gold Coast. Lots of thunderstorm activity tomorrow, and I just cannot stress how serious the situation is going to be tomorrow, of which I will cover very, very shortly. Yeah, this Samford Valley storm really getting itself going now. That's going to cross into the Strathpine area very soon. and then up towards Samson Vale, and then eventually Redcliffe, and through the remainder of Moreton Bay up to Caboolture. Looks like we're going to have some interesting stuff up there. Potentially some strong thunderstorm activity as well. Definitely something we're going to have to keep very close tabs on, that's for sure. These thunderstorms packing a punch. Good afternoon to everybody that is watching along. If you haven't already, please do consider leaving a like and subscribe. This is a bit of a warm-up stream, a bit of a rehearsal to what we are looking at tomorrow afternoon and evening. Very significant severe thunderstorm potential tomorrow afternoon and evening. And it is, you thought last weekend was bad, well, this weekend is going to be even more significant. Let's have a look at what's been going on in the last hour. It's been a busy one. Been down at the shops getting my storm supplies ready so I don't have to go out this weekend, and I've missed this massive blow up of storms that's occurred in the last 15 minutes or so, 15 to 45 minutes. And you can see it really is just a convective bubble bath across Southeast Queensland. Lots of thunderstorms now beginning to get themselves going. Lots of cloud cover as well. I mean, today it's a pretty standard severe thunderstorm outbreak across Southeast Queensland. It's something we see multiple times every single year, so this is nothing unusual, but it still is. It's packing a punch. It means business. Some of these storms are most certainly packing a punch. Nothing in the way of giant hailstones or destructive winds or intense rainfall, but this one down here going through Gatton, or now moving through Gatton and then going towards Lowood and Laidley, this one here is not a storm to be shrugging off. It's got a punch in it, it's got hail, it's got damaging winds, it's dropping the temperatures very significantly, it's got a lot of lightning as well, so buckle up, get inside if you're in Laidley. These aren't anything of the crazy severe variety. None of these thunderstorms are, but still, they are severe, they are packing a punch, and they are something to be taking very seriously right now. That cell at Cecil Plains is currently dropping golf ball-sized hailstones. I imagine Cecil Plains is this one out here, unless we're talking about a storm a little bit further inland. I know where Cecil Plains is, I'm just very much lost right now through Southeast Queensland. It's either the Gatton cell that we're talking about, Cecil Plains, or it is a little bit further north here around the Linville area. But yeah, definitely some large hailstones, that's for sure, being dropped in these thunderstorms. If someone could remind me where Cecil Plains is, I've forgotten where a lot of these locations are. But yeah, golf ball sized hailstones doesn't surprise me. Oh, just west of Toowoomba, so this one out here, Mount Tyson, golf ball-sized hailstones, that actually does surprise me somewhat, because the hail core in this storm here is not as significant as the one that's moving through the Gatton area. And if we have a look at the Doppler wind readings as well, it doesn't look like that thunderstorm has got much in the way of rotation. It's definitely trying to become a supercell, but it's also not doing a very good job of it. Actually, to be honest, that Gatton cell there, that's a very, very weak supercell, if it even is a supercell thunderstorm at all. But still, either way, they're storms that need to be taken seriously. All severe thunderstorms can bring significant severe thunderstorm conditions. And I imagine that one just towards the west of Toowoomba is going to get tagged as a severe thunderstorm very, very shortly. And you can see the greater severe thunderstorm warning. It's not covering much. It includes Noosa, Maroochydore, Kilcoy, Gatton, which has just copped a thunderstorm, Lowood, Laidley, Toowoomba, Dalby, and then up towards Kingaroy and Yarraman as well. It's not a very widespread severe thunderstorm warning, but it still is a severe thunderstorm warning at that. Now, one thing that I have just gotten as well, and I'm surprised I haven't done this sooner, is the ability to draw on here. So we've got these clusters of thunderstorms here, and then we've got these few developing thunderstorms now to the Brisbane city area, and then of course our friend the strong thunderstorm down here around Gatton, and the one that's apparently dropping 4cm golf ball sized hailstones towards the west of Toowoomba, and they're all moving in different directions. These ones here have more, or the ones a little bit further north around the Noosa area have got that northeasterly track. These ones are about east-northeasterly. These ones are in fact southeasterly down here around the Gatton area, and then this Toowoomba one looks to be going a little bit back towards that northeast. But a lot of thunderstorm activity. You can see these convective cloud tops here in a highly sheared environment, lots of cloud activity, lots of high cloud now moving through. And we also have some significant severe thunderstorm potential also up on the Capricornia coastline as well. A couple of non-severe cells right now outside of Loammead towards the south of Agnes Water, and a couple of storms also towards the north of Rockhampton. In fact, Rockhampton has actually seen some pretty significant thunderstorm activity in the last couple of days. No, I've known how to draw my entire life, to be frank. However, I've just got that feature. I downloaded it this morning, and it's an absolutely incredible one because I stream off a MacBook, so I'm pretty restricted in terms of what external stuff I can use. But yeah, it's a great feature and one that I am very, very happy to have. Anyways, just to recap, that severe thunderstorm warning is extending through these sort of locations here. It's not the most expansive severe thunderstorm warning, put it that way, and it doesn't include Brisbane, Caboolture, or any of the greater Brisbane area or her suburbs apart from the Samford Valley, but it still encompasses quite a lot of space, and I think that they're going to wipe that severe thunderstorm warning now for locations in this area here. So Dalby, Cecil Plains, Milliman, those sort of locations, as these thunderstorms are now moving further towards the coastline, and we'll see that severe thunderstorm warning dropped very, very soon for those locations at least. But yeah, definitely the ones a little bit further north, they're packing a bit of a punch, that's for sure. Lots of fresh lightning in these. This one coming into Noosa right now, there's probably about 10 minutes away from Noosa. Noosa being right here. And then we've got this thunderstorm here, or the cell, the main part of the thunderstorm, expected to move just over Noosa or just towards the east of Noosa. And that will likely drop some heavy rainfall and some small hailstones as well. Yeah, back down to Sydney tomorrow. It is an extremely widespread, it's a very expansive outbreak and a very expansive severe thunderstorm setup that we have tomorrow, and it stretches all the way down to Sydney and Newcastle inclusive. There's going to be a lot of severe thunderstorms tomorrow. There's going to be huge action tomorrow, and it is, like I've been saying, one of the most potent severe thunderstorm setups that we've had in the last couple of years. And I mean, if we have a look at the Bureau of Meteorology's forecast for Brisbane, I mean, it is very much, it's on the extreme. It is thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. They're guaranteeing that thunderstorms are going to occur in the afternoon and the evening, possibly severe with damaging winds, large hail, and heavy rainfall, which will lead to flash flooding. So they're pulling out all the stops, storms developing. This is some pretty extreme wording from BOM. Sunday a little bit less so, but also today we've got that severe thunderstorm warning tag as well for the Brisbane area, and today is, like I said, a day that's going to catch a few people off guard, and we're expecting this severe thunderstorm warning to be pushed out into the Brisbane city area, Brisbane being right here, and we'll likely see these thunderstorms here or some more thunderstorms developing along this line here, and they'll push into the Brisbane area as well in the next couple of hours. They're taking a pretty erratic track. You can tell that there's not much in the way of winds at the 700 HPA range, which is not pushing these thunderstorms along very fast. But there is a lot of wind shear in this environment, and winds are still very strong in the upper atmosphere, which is why we're seeing these thunderstorms trying to develop into supercells, and why I have gone live, because the situation is potentially a little bit concerning for the Brisbane city area. Strong thunderstorm now moving through the Noosa area, but we don't have any updates in the way of what we're expecting conditions-wise for these locations just yet. So definitely something that we are going to keep close tabs on. That looks like it's maturing along nicely now, this thunderstorm just outside of Gatton. It'll be on the 64-kilometre Marburg radar. In fact, it's just about to pass towards the south of Marburg. And if we stop it on the latest frames, you can see moving through Gatton right now, conditions are just beginning to ease off now for the Gatton area. But we do have that pretty distinct hail core in this thunderstorm here, and it looks like with the way that it's moving, it's going to pass right over Magawi. It's going to miss Marburg for the most part. But it definitely is something to be taking seriously, this thunderstorm. It's likely got those near golf ball sized or close to golf ball sized hailstones. We're talking 3.5 centimetres, even up towards 4 centimetres. Eventually, it looks like Harrisville is going to be in the firing line for this severe thunderstorm as well, somewhere in this red outline. So this could put Harrisville or Amberley Airport or even Ipswich eventually into the firing line. But Ipswich is probably still about an hour away from this thunderstorm, and it's likely to be substantially weaker by then. And then in terms of an Ipswich impactor, a lot of these thunderstorms that are firing up further towards the north are moving in a completely different direction. And they're going to not only dodge the Brisbane area, but they're also going to dodge the Ipswich area as well. So lots of severe cells beginning to develop up here, but none of them look like they're going to go for anywhere that is really densely populated. They're going to kind of fizzle through or filter through the Brisbane suburbs or the northern suburbs of Brisbane without impacting too many locations, which is good news. We've had a lot of that this storm season. In fact, the strongest thunderstorms, for the most part, have actually dodged some of the highest population areas, which is very good indeed. Wind ramping up in Brassel. Possible impact to the Gold Coast. I think the Gold Coast is just too far south. However, in saying that, we do now have a couple of thunderstorms here outside of Rathdowney. This one's beginning to develop. I wouldn't be surprised if this one went severe. A bit of a cell here, but there's no anvil associated with it, so likely that this one's going to peter out before it gets anywhere, and it's also not going to go for the Gold Coast either. But this one here, the Rathdowney one, in the next hour could become a storm system to watch, and I would say anyone within this red circle here, which would include the Bow Desert area and then down into the northern parts of New South Wales, definitely should keep close tabs on this Rathdowney cell that's beginning to develop. I mean, just have a look at it right now. It's really came to light in the past kind of 20 minutes or so, and it's now dropping some heavy precipitation, but it doesn't look like there's a massive thundercloud developing with it just yet. But if we have a look at the infrared satellite imagery, the Rathdowney cell, there's no kind of tall thundercloud with it, whereas these thunderstorms here moving through Ipswich and Gatton, or just towards the west of Ipswich rather, they have that very tall convection associated with it. So you can see this storm here a lot weaker than the Gatton one, and as such not really expected to become anything too significant at this point in time. Weather looking like tomorrow for Maleni, it is... yeah, it's a big situation across Southeast Queensland, especially through Southeast Queensland. But I would just like to say, circling these areas here, this includes Toowoomba, and then right down to the border, and then eventually later on into the night. So for locations in this circle here, this second circle that I'm drawing, the smaller one, that's where the big stuff is expected later on in the night. So like that squall line with embedded supercells, that also throws Brisbane in both of these storm impactors here. But then supercells developing from about midday onwards in that first circle that I drew, the much bigger one, and that would obviously put the, well, Southeast Queensland supercell alley, which includes Lowood, Esk, up towards Caboolture in the Samford Valley, and then Boonah and Bow Desert as well, in the firing line for potentially significant thunderstorms. And then later on at night, it'll be that big squall line that we're expecting to push through, and that will likely pack a pretty significant punch as well. So lots of things to keep tabs on tomorrow. It will be a big day, it will be a long day, and there will be a lot of coverage on all of my pages. So again, make sure you are staying in the loop there. And XT, thank you so much for that generous tip. Let's talk about Townsville for just a sec. We do have a bit of a cell, or a very weak thunderstorm that's tried to develop up there, just outside of Rolling Stone by the looks of things. And if we have a look at what it's been doing over the last hour or so, really not much. It's just that pulse thunderstorm stuff that we see develop very consistently at this time of the year. But yeah, not a strong system, not anything to be concerned about. And in terms of Townsville and surrounding locations, nothing in the way of thunderstorms expected today, even tomorrow and Sunday either. It doesn't look like anything serious is going to occur for the Townsville area, and I thank you very generously for that donation. Lots and lots of lightning. These storms beginning to upscale now, particularly a little bit further north, as they normally do. Once they get going, they tend to upscale because there is so much moisture in the atmosphere. But these thunderstorms here now getting themselves out to sea where they're not going to be a concern. And again, like I said, Noosa next in the firing line for this thunderstorm line here. Noosa being where that X is, and these thunderstorms here are that cell just minutes away from the Noosa area. But you can see they are beginning to push further and further offshore. A couple of cells firing behind it. You can see here just towards the southwest of Tyro, and another cell here towards the north of Moore and northwest of Kilcoy, and then a bunch of cells here towards the north outside of Childers and Howard as well, towards the northwest of Maryborough. But again, nothing crazy developing in those locations, and not something I'm overly concerned about because none of them look like they've got any intention of going severe. This cell down here, though, that's going to move through the Toowoomba area pretty soon, so the Cecil Plains area, or it might actually bypass Toowoomba and head further towards the north. And I would just like to say that anyone in this kind of red outline here, which would include the northern edge of Toowoomba, I'm putting you under notice for a potentially strong severe thunderstorm. It definitely looks like a possibility. So, Gatton Storm has updated. Let's check that out. Updated or upscaled? Oh, we don't have a new severe thunderstorm warning just yet. I'd very much like to see an update in that severe thunderstorm warning. It looks like the Gatton one, to be honest, is now beginning to upscale. We do have that kind of line of hail / very intense precipitation, and it's moving very differently to all of the other thunderstorms as well. I mean, it's moving in that south easterly trajectory. So it's going to or the worst bit looks like it's going to bypass Laidley just towards the south and move towards the north of Mulgowie. It does throw Harrisville potentially in the firing line for some of this hail, but again, like I said, it looks like it might just be a little bit too late by the time the thunderstorm gets down there, because it is already showing signs of weakening. That's the thing with these thunderstorms, unless they move quickly, which they don't normally do, particularly at this time of the year, They've only got a lifespan of about an hour or an hour and a half, and time moves really quick in thunderstorm outbreaks. So these thunderstorms here, they don't stick around for long, and they don't cover much ground, particularly at this time of the year with the setup that we have right now. One way to tell how fast a thunderstorm is going to be moving is having a look at the winds at the 700 HPA range. So going onto a website like windy.com and going up to the 700 HPA range, and you can see these winds here, generally speaking, is how fast these thunderstorms are going to be moving and where they're going to be going. And you can see that down around the Gatton area, we do have that kind of more westerly flow, and then these thunderstorms a little bit further north, that more sort of southwesterly flow, which means these thunderstorms are going to be heading towards the northwest. And you can see the winds down here around the Gatton area about 25 to 30 kilometers an hour, but further north up into the areas towards where these thunderstorms are developing on the Sunshine Coast, it's even lower. It's down to about 20 to 25 kilometers an hour. So there's really not much pushing these thunderstorms along, and that's why they are slow moving and dropping quite a lot of precipitation in some of these spots. So, yeah. Forest Hill supercell rotating the wrong way. Sometimes you do get anticyclonic and cyclonic supercells. In America, you get different rotations of supercells. I think the cyclonic ones are a lot more common. About 90% of the supercells up in the northern hemisphere are cyclonic, and it would be the same ratio on the southern hemisphere, I imagine. Do we have an update? Not quite yet. We will just go back to the Brisbane radar though and see if we got an update on the Doppler. Yeah, it'd be a real stretch to call that storm that's moving towards the south of Gatton now towards Mulgowie a supercell. It just doesn't have enough rotation by the looks of things. There is a bit of a rotation couplet in there. If I pause that and really zoom in on it like I've done right now, you can see we've got those winds coming towards the radar through here, and then those winds going away from the radar, which would be indicative of a rotation, but they're really not that strong at all. So it would be quite gusty ahead of that thunderstorm. You'd probably be looking at wind gusts up around the 50, 60, 70 kilometer an hour mark, and you'd have a substantial drop in the temperatures as well. But again, it's not a supercell, and it's not really a strong thunderstorm at that either. Josiah Roberts, thank you so much from Nerang. I love Nerang, and I cannot wait to get back to the Gold Coast. Beautiful, beautiful place Nerang is. If I could live anywhere in Australia, I would pick somewhere around the Nerang area or between Nerang and the Gold Coast. Just love driving through it. It's absolutely gorgeous. So tropical, and it feels like a holiday. Yeah, a bit less lightning now on this Gatton cell moving through Laidley. You can see those as this cell kind of, really falls apart. There's not much lightning in it, and especially compared to some of the more maturing thunderstorms, which you can see out here. Lots of lightning in this one towards the southwest of Oakley, and also a substantial amount of lightning now moving through the Caboolture area, and plenty of lightning up on this far out. Lots of lightning on the Noosa one. If we have a look at the radar here, we've probably got some pretty intense precipitation rates as well, 50 to 60 decibels. Pea-sized hail, I reckon, in this, potentially a little bit larger for a few spots, but definitely some intense precipitation, lots of lightning. This is a mature and a strong thunderstorm. A couple of these thunderstorms here towards the north of Lake Wivenhoe, also quite mature in nature, but this one here very much now on the way out as it crosses over Laidley. Any questions or comments? Any chance of tornadoes in Southeast Queensland? Yes, tomorrow. Big potential for tornadoes tomorrow evening in Southeast Queensland and tomorrow night as well. And when I say big potential, me personally, we've got one or two coming. And that's pretty much guaranteed, likely a lot more than that. But the setup is just so good for tornadic activity across Southeast Queensland tomorrow. High wind shear, extreme cape, great atmospheric conditions and values. I mean, it's just excellent tomorrow evening through Southeast Queensland. Excellent cape, excellent lapse rates, excellent sweat values. It's a true American setup tomorrow, if that describes it well enough. It really is looking quite potent. Oh, that is very generous, Alan. 5 memberships. That is extremely generous, and thank you so much to all of the people that have received that. That is very generous. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for all of the support as well, KC, watching the reports every day. That is very, very, very sweet. Lots of thunderstorms. Cells there, clusters of cells around the Caboolture area. We've got that Gatton one and then that one that's moving towards the west of Toowoomba. Lots of thunderstorms as well further north outside of Childers, Hervey Bay and Bundaberg. Thunderstorms here that are going to thread the needle south of Gladstone and Agnes Water, and a few cells as well towards the north of Rockhampton, missing all of these major population centres: Gladstone, Agnes Water, Bundaberg, Hervey Bay, Maryborough, Noosa. I cannot say the same, they're getting smashed right now. Brisbane as well, kind of getting missed. I mean, if we just zoom in on the Brisbane city area, you can see these thunderstorms here. Whilst they are in the Brisbane city, or not in the city area, but they are in some of the northern suburbs, we're seeing these thunderstorms move, will very much avoid the CBD. They're kind of, there's almost like an invisible wall right here, and the thunderstorms are either diverting south like the Gatton one, or they're pushing a little bit further north like the cells that are moving through Caboolture right now, and then the ones obviously up in Noosa moving towards the northeast. But Brisbane, especially through Redland City through here and Logan City through here, and then down to Jimboomba, very much in the clear for thunderstorm activity, including the Brisbane city area itself. This is a storm to watch though. This Rathdowney one blown up in the last, well, we've got some new cell activity now developing as well, and this has gone and developed thunderstorms and lightning outside of Curralabin. Rathdowney still a strong one, moving in this sort of direction here. This does kind of put the Gold Coast in the firing line in maybe an hour, but it's such a weak chance right now that I'm going to refrain from commenting on it, because it is just quite a way away in the future at this point in time. Unfortunately, tomorrow there will be supercells producing tornadoes. It's highly likely at this point in time, but we just can only hope, because tornadoes are very isolated and concentrated in nature, that A, they don't develop in the Brisbane city area or the Gold Coast area, and B, they dodge major population centres. That's what we can hope for tomorrow. But be prepared. It's much better to be safe than it is to be sorry. Just take all of the precautions tomorrow seriously. All of the warnings that come out, take them seriously, and just do as they say, because like I said, it's easier to take the car out of the garage afterwards than it is to be running around in a hailstorm protecting it, because there's a chance that you may not get impacted. Cecil Plains one looks to be developing a bit of a hail core there. It also looks to be substantially weaker in the latest frames, but it is throwing out a little bit more lightning now towards Oakley, and I would say that this hail core is going to pass just towards the north of Oakley, but definitely some small hailstones possible in the Oakley area, and then eventually on towards the north of Toowoomba, but not likely to see anything into the Toowoomba area. Again, threading the needle between the Gatton one and this one here, developing well outside of the Toowoomba town site. What does it look like for Southeast Queensland or Logan City area on Saturday? It's just looking big. As we just talked about a few moments ago, we've got big thunderstorm potential starting very early on in the day. We've also got thunderstorm potential onto the northern side of the Sunshine Coast and into the Fraser Coast from the late morning hours onwards. We're likely to see a lot of pulse thunderstorms moving ashore here, a lot of energy moving ashore. We'll also likely see maybe a supercell or two on the northern side of the Sunshine Coast. But then as we push things forward later into the afternoon hours, you can see these thunderstorms then begin developing a little bit further south. We will see supercell thunderstorms developing down here, so Milliman, Goondiwindi, and then pushing in towards the Clifton and the Warwick area as we get a little bit further on into the afternoon, and then dangerous severe thunderstorm activity is expected to develop kind of in this area here. That's where we're expecting our tornado chances. Significant severe thunderstorm activity is expected in this larger circle, and then later on in the night we'll be talking about multicellular thunderstorms with squall lines and potentially embedded supercell thunderstorms pushing through into these areas as these storms upscale. And then of course further north, lots of pulse thunderstorms, lots of organized supercell activity as well, and then likely later on at the night some squall line activity with also potential supercells too. So yeah, big day coming through tomorrow, and there is going to be an awful lot to talk about, a lot to keep us on our toes right through the day. Tomorrow is looking far out. It is looking big. looking really big, and I'm very excited to be able to see what the Access Convective has to say, because already, I mean, have a look at this. What a thunderstorm outbreak across northern parts of New South Wales, and this is at 3 o'clock New South Wales time. Widespread supercell thunderstorm and pulse thunderstorm activity, or supercells expected kind of in this area here, and then beginning to develop in the Toowoomba and the Warwick area as we get a little bit later on. So after about 3 o'clock Queensland time, supercells will begin developing here and then pushing in towards Brisbane. But lots of supercell activity expected through these locations. Right from after midday pretty much, and then you can see a lot of thunderstorm activity is also expected through tomorrow afternoon, inland over the ranges, but also down through the New South Wales coastline, and then right down towards Sydney and the Illawarra coastline as we push through tomorrow as well. It's just going to be big. That's what tomorrow is going to be. There's going to be a lot to talk about, a lot of activity, a lot of action, and plenty of very wild thunderstorms. We're expecting these thunderstorms to be the extremely gnarly sort. Oh, Bombs updated the warnings. Thanks for that update. I completely forgot about the fact that we had these. Oh, it's been labelled as very dangerous. Interesting. So it's got labelled for giant hailstones, destructive winds and giant hailstones moving through Laidley right now. I didn't really think it was that strong. I mean, it's got a pretty decent hail core. If you have a look at the radar imagery here, we've got readings around that 60-65 decibels, but that's a really weak hail core, if ever I've seen one, especially for giant hailstones, which are 5 centimeters plus. Yeah, that's definitely something to be taken with a bit of a pinch of salt. But again, for Laidley, you're under the warning of a very dangerous severe thunderstorm, but conditions are going to ease off very shortly. And it's also interesting because it is quite a weak supercell thunderstorm as well. Anyways, that Caboolture one got labelled severe as well. That's probably something to be a little bit more concerned about. This one here is heavy rainfall and small hailstone based. Moving through Caboolture, and then eventually that will go on to Brisbane Island in the next 15 minutes or so. It's slow moving, so a lot of rainfall is going to occur from this thunderstorm here. And we've also got another thunderstorm behind it over the Dabbara area towards the north of the Samford Valley. That will follow this one at about 15 minutes behind. And again, if we just have a look at how the last kind of 20 minutes has gone, this thunderstorm here developing north of the Samford Valley really came a long way in the last 20 minutes. So again, a lot of rainfall, a lot of precipitation, and potentially some small hailstones as well to follow as this thunderstorm moves through. And then even this thunderstorm here over the Caboolture area as that goes towards Brisbane Island. It's kind of a double whammy, to be honest. Yeah. Oh, some really significant widespread thunderstorm activity, and our Noosa one as well, of course, that's been labelled as severe for heavy rainfall. If any of these storms deserved the very dangerous tag, it's probably the Noosa one. There's a lot of small hail in this one here moving towards the north, but also for heavy to locally intense rainfall. We could be seeing, in fact, we can actually check how much rainfall Noosa has had so far, but I wouldn't be surprised if they saw 30 or 40 millimetres in in a very short period of time. 25 millimetres and counting. And all of that's fallen in the last, 20 minutes or so. 46 knot wind gusts, so 85 kilometres an hour. Honestly, that's the strongest storm that we've seen so far today, and it's still going for these areas as well. Gatton, strongest wind gust was 10 knots from that storm. Yeah, this Gatton one really doesn't have strong winds, even though it's got that very dangerous tag for very destructive wind gusts. It's definitely gusty, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot weaker now than where it was about 15-20 minutes ago, where the winds were probably gusting closer to 80 kilometres an hour. Now they're probably down to around the 70 or 65 kilometre an hour mark, even though if we just pause this on the latest frame right now and really zoom in on here. So I'll label, so Mulgowie is located like right here where that circle is. There is a very, very tight area of rotation now. We've got those winds coming towards the radar and those winds going away from the radar. And you can see that little blue dot that I've just, really butchered, but you can see that little blue dot in the center of that screen there. That is very tight rotation and quite intense rotation as well at that. And as this thunderstorm has tracked along, it's withheld that. So it's most likely a supercell. It's most definitely a supercell thunderstorm still, even though I was doubting that not so long ago. But it could be a bit stronger, and that might be why it's got the very dangerous severe thunderstorm tag. And just while we're at it, let's have a look at what the winds are up on the Gympie thunderstorm here. Navigating a website is extremely difficult. Oh, very strong wind gusts. So yeah, we've definitely got those damaging, locally destructive wind gusts moving through the Gympie area as well. And Cornelia, thank you so much for becoming a channel sponsor. The Lowood cell is almost stationary. Moving down towards Lowood. Oh, the Lowood's kind of halfway in between, so I'm not exactly sure what cell you're talking about, but the ones towards the north, they're moving along this line, and it's, yeah, definitely upscaling into what looks to be a multicellular thunderstorm, but they're moving along this line, which makes them appear almost stationary and really gives these places a lot of time to soak up the impacts of these thunderstorms. But the one further towards the south is also pretty slow moving. It's not getting along at a rate of knots. Oh, a lot of fresh lightning. So this one here is still going quite strong, to be honest, the Laidley one. I'm going to have to backtrack what I said, saying that that was a dying storm, because it most certainly is not a dying thunderstorm. That's for sure. Significant stuff today. A lot stronger than, honestly, a lot of people have expected. It's matching my expectations so far. I knew today was going to be a pretty significant day. There was going to be a lot of stuff going on today, but it's on the stronger side. Like, today is a solid severe thunderstorm outbreak. It's not every storm outbreak that we see the very dangerous tag carried out by bomb. Yeah, they've thrown Bribie Island under that severe thunderstorm warning as well. Parts of the Brisbane area are under that severe thunderstorm warning, so we're looking well inland from Brisbane out around the Lowood area. But even that's probably overkill. I would say Ipswich, fair enough, that's been thrown under a severe thunderstorm warning, because you can see where this storm is going to be tracking. Strong winds will blow through Ipswich. But in terms of what we're expecting for Brisbane, this thunderstorm here now moving towards the north, that's going to go through Redcliffe at some point and drop a bit of rainfall there. But unless something develops around here, so through the Mount Nebo or the Wivenhoe Outlook area and then tracks towards Brisbane, or something develops adjacent to this thunderstorm here around Laidley, I reckon Brisbane is going to be fine for this afternoon, which means trick-or-treating as well will be fine. Nobachi, thank you for that donation. And thank you as well for those kind words. Whereabouts are you, by the way, where all these storms are forming? Because there is a lot of thunderstorms around here. Tornadoes, it's mainly if supercells are going to occur and if we've got high sweat values. And tomorrow, sweat values, which is an index for storm severity, off the charts. Like, the maps are maxed out. And that's why I said it looks like an American outlook tomorrow, because we just have such good conditions for tornadic activity. Of course, tornadoes are quite rare in Australia, so we're not guaranteeing tornadoes at this point in time. But if they're going to develop this storm season, so far the best chance they're going to have is going to be tomorrow. Let's see if we can get a bit of an update on this Noosa thunderstorm as well. See how much rainfall it has dropped, because it's definitely a bit of a wet one, that's for sure. It's dropping some rainfall. Still hasn't updated just yet. Yeah, there's definitely some heavy precipitation rates, that's for sure. And Anony Mouse, again, thank you for that generous donation. Looks like on Bomb, that Gatton storm will combine with the Rathdowney one and the Boona storm. I mean, the Rathdowney one is a long way down, and the Boona one is starting to get itself going now. It's ramping up. But the interesting thing is, the Rathdowney one is moving in kind of this direction here towards Canungra, and it's going to clip Beaudesert by the looks of things, or that northern cell is going to clip Beaudesert or just pass towards the south. And then this thunderstorm here is moving also towards the east-northeast, but then this one is moving down in this direction here. So this will likely all upscale here. These thunderstorms will likely upscale into a thunderstorm, a big thunderstorm. Keep in mind, when you throw storms together and they merge into each other, the conditions aren't compounding, they don't get added to each other. In fact, often it's quite harmful when these thunderstorms merge together. It's like the Fujiwara effect with cyclones. But I believe what's just going to happen is this Gatton cell here, or now the Laidley thunderstorm, is going to weaken off a little bit, and yeah, we'll see that die off in the next 20 minutes. This one will get itself going, and then it could make it out towards Greenbank, and I do believe right up towards here, maybe thrown under the severe thunderstorm warning in the next update. But I'm also pretty skeptical on the Gold Coast's chances here. These are pretty minimal storm chances for today. There's not much instability to play with. Brisbane looking quite healthy though, so if we do see severe thunderstorms into the Brisbane area, it won't overly surprise me. Yeah, instability is kind of, we've got our highest points of instability through here, and then also through here as well, so it's good, but it's not great. We're comparing it to tomorrow, of course, so it's never going to be great compared to tomorrow, because tomorrow is just fantastic. Brent, Neil, and Taylor, and thank you so much for becoming channel sponsors. Massively appreciated. See it more clearly on the bomb radar. Well, this is great, having two different variations of radar imagery. Yeah, these storms here, the Rathdowney one really is starting to get itself going, and it looks like this one here moving into the Gatton area, whilst it is still quite strong. Whoa, that's got a core and a half in it now. Looks to be starting to make a bit more of an easterly turn. This one here heading pretty much due towards the east, and then this one here heading towards the northeast. So you can see just the variations of the winds that are pushing these thunderstorms around. Yeah, interesting stuff, but it does kind of take the Gold Coast's chances out of these thunderstorms and might put Coomera in, because all of these thunderstorms are kind of headed for this one point here, and unless we see thunderstorms, like I said, developing through here, where they will then go into the Brisbane area, because if they develop north, they'll head north, then I don't think Brisbane's going to see thunderstorms today, and of course Brisbane being this area here, the one that I've marked with that smaller X, which I can actually show you if I turned on the locations here. Yeah, that is Brisbane. Anyways, thank you so much everybody for joining the stream. If you haven't already, please do consider leaving a like and subscribe as well. Support has been massively appreciated, so thank you so much to everybody who's watching along. Just again, cross-referencing back with the radar imageries, the different radar imageries, just so we get a complete and a comprehensive picture. That was a strong rotation couplet in frame 6, down here around Harrisville. Yeah, that's very, very strong. So you can see here this little very intense blue dot. That's winds at least 90 kilometers an hour going towards the radar. And then these orange winds are the ones going away from the radar. So it gives you an idea of the rotation that's beginning to develop. And yeah, we really do have a pretty significant rotation couplet here. And if we push this a frame forward as well to frame 7, I think the reason why we don't see it on this frame, even though we do, we still have that kind of very small speck of blue here, is because it's maybe between another thunderstorm. It would be between another thunderstorm. And even this one here moving through Caboolture, that's got a pretty, oh, it's got a half decent rotation on it as well. You can see those winds here. Yeah, strong opposites. So we definitely are seeing a little bit of rotation in that thunderstorm as well. Hail in Laidley, near golf ball sized, so still large hailstones there. Yeah, large hailstones in the Laidley area, about what we expected. But this Laidley cell here, not quite at the giant hailstone threshold for which it is warned for, but it is developing nicely, and I've got to hand it to the Bureau of Meteorology. They called this thunderstorm very dangerous. I think it's definitely a borderline case, but it is strong, and it is packing a punch. Frosky, thank you for that generous $2 tip, and Steve, thank you for that very generous $10 tip as well. Tornado ingredients tomorrow briefly is those sweat values. Also very much high wind shear, low cloud bases, which means tornadoes do not have to drop far from those high precipitation storm modes. It's all pretty much an eclectic mix of very favourable conditions that are coming together for tornado potential tomorrow. And it looks incredibly healthy. Like I said at the start of this stream here, if we see tornadoes this season in Southeast Queensland, they're going to happen tomorrow. Logan. Will Logan area be hit? So the Logan area is here just towards the south of Brisbane, which I have marked with that X. And you can see these thunderstorms here. The Gatton one is moving in that direction. This one here, just towards the north of Boonah, moving, I think it is just a bit closer towards the east-northeast side of things. And then the Rathdowney one is moving very much towards the northeast. And that kind of places Logan in this middle ground where thunderstorms are expected to kind of bypass the Logan City area. We may see something upscaling later going into the Logan City area. It's possible, but it's not a high chance at this point in time. So for Logan, the chances remaining pretty small. This Caboolture thunderstorm, we need to talk about that in just a second. That is very strong and really catching my eye right now. And even this one here outside of Esk, that's also packing a bit of a punch. So we'll get to those in just a sec. Riffo, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. That's massively appreciated. Did Bomb fix the website? No, so go to reg.bomb.gov.au. One of my mates over at West WX Watches, Tom Marsh, he's been in the meteorology scene for 10 plus years, incredibly smart guy. He made a post over on his Facebook page showing that website traffic to Bomb's old website is, get this, 5 times higher than to their new website, according to Google Trends, and that is very telling. That is massively appreciated, LCPL Cat. That's a massive tip, so thank you very much for that. That is extremely generous. Very much appreciated. But yeah, this Caboolture storm is very likely dropping some small hail. It could even be dropping large hailstones. 60 decibels is thresholds for large hailstones, but this storm here, multi-cell severe thunderstorm, lots of lightning associated with it, as you can see, and it is slow moving, so very high precipitation rates developing in this thunderstorm here. Very widespread, reaching through the Caboolture area, and they are getting throttled right now by this severe thunderstorm in the Caboolture area. If we just zoom in on here, it is kind of moving through that swamp towards the east of Caboolture, just towards the north of Beachmere, where the Caboolture River mouth comes out, but it's going to go into the areas around Bribie Island pretty soon. Again, if we just turn on the annotations here, you can see the general trajectory of this storm here takes it, while some of those very heavy precipitation rates are going to corridor right over to Bribie Island at Sandstone Point, and through the Ningy Creek sort of area, Torble, and then for locations a little bit further north as well, up towards Donnybrook as well. Yeah, just right through Bribie Island. This is quite an extensive severe thunderstorm, and pretty much everywhere in this line here is looking at very heavy rainfall and potentially some small hailstones, maybe even large hailstones as well. It'll pass south of Beerburrum, and even through here, the Glasshouse Mountains obviously copping the main brunt of this severe thunderstorm, but we're starting to see something develop a little bit further towards behind as well. And this cell here is moving towards the north, so this could throw Beerburrum under a severe thunderstorm warning soon. But very heavy rainfall, lots and lots of lightning, as you can see, and even this one here is starting to drop some lightning as well. Caboolture, you guys are in the thick of it, so stay inside. And LCPL Cat, thank you so much for becoming an extra member as well. I need to give that tier a name and some certain perks, because you guys are, of course, my most valued fans. Everybody is valued, though, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing. And leave a like on the stream as well. That would be massively appreciated. But thank you so much to everybody for the support and showing up for this severe thunderstorm outbreak coverage this afternoon. Not going anywhere anytime soon, but massively appreciated. Oh, Gus Williams, thank you. Extremely generous. I need to start tracking these storms and stop tracking the chat. But you guys are just way too generous, so again, I could not thank you enough. This Rathdowney storm, this is the one to watch. Have a look at that. Canungra, Beaudesert, all in the firing line for what could be a potentially strong storm. Now, it is just developing right now, so we're not 100% sure who's going to get all of the impacts from this storm, but it also looks like eventually the Gold Coast may be in for it, especially if it heads... Well, I mean, if we have a look at where it's moving right now, it's very quickly developed. And if I was just to extrapolate this, it looks like the general track is going to be somewhere along that line. So it will pass north of the Gold Coast, which is here, and the major populations, or the suburbs that are just towards the south and the west of it, Nerang out here, marked with an X, and then Coomera, Sanctuary Cove, my favourite places in Australia, just further towards the north. But this cell here, if it keeps going, I mean, it's only an hour away from these locations, and it could hold on for that entire time. We may be looking at a potentially significant severe thunderstorm for those locations, and thank you for Storm Boy Lumpy Battery, very generous. Pressure is dropping on the latest weather observations for Beaudesert. Yeah, well, this thunderstorm here would do that. It would knock it out, that's for sure. Moving through the Beaudesert area. I'm at a loss for words right now. I mean, please keep battling it out for the greatest donation today, but I'm very, very thankful for it. Of course, LCPL Cat. I'm again at a loss for words. And again, Jeffrey Tyson, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Got to keep our eyes focused on these thunderstorms. Gat1 still dropping significant hailstones right now. 65 decibels, the latest readings. Packing a punch. That's what we love to say on this channel, packing a punch. And those storms sure are. This Desert one still doesn't have a rotation couplet yet on the latest Doppler radar imagery, but if we have a look on the 64K readings here, you can see that hail core now really beginning to develop. It would likely be becoming a supercell very soon as it moves towards Mount Tamborine. Desert, you guys are definitely in the firing line for this storm here. I mean, whereabouts is Desert? Desert here, Mount Tamborine here. And then this storm is going to kind of go straight through Canungra and then up towards Mount Tamborine, which does, I guess, take the Gold Coast out of it. But yeah, we expect a severe thunderstorm warning to be raised in these locations very soon. And even this thunderstorm here that's on the western side of your screen, that one is also one that we do need to be a little bit concerned about too. And thank you so much for those kind words as well, being there. I'm honoured to be able to present the weather to such an extensive audience, and if you want to become part of that extensive audience, please consider subscribing. Oh, Mount Tamborine, not Tamborine Mountain. I should know that. Again, another gorgeous, gorgeous place. One of my favourite spots as well. I keep saying it, but all of that area, the scenic rim and the Gold Coast hinterland, Springbrook National Park is just gorgeous. Natural Bridge is absolutely beautiful. I'm not a Brisbane native. I'm not a Gold Coast native. I'm actually from Perth. So whenever I get to go and visit, it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. This one up in Caboolture throwing out lots and lots of rainfall. In fact, if we have a look at just how much rainfall is coming through there, we've got estimates around that 10 to 15 millimetre mark every 5 minutes or so, and 1 hour precipitation estimates from the Bureau of Meteorology, the actual reliable 1 hour rainfall estimates around that 50 to 75 millimetre mark. There's likely a lot of rainfall coming out of that system there. There's a lot of tall thunderstorms. Noosa has ended up with 33 millimetres in the gauge and strongest wind gusts of 85 kilometres an hour. Also a very substantial temperature drop from nearly 30 degrees right down into the high teens. And a pretty big pressure drop as well, about 3 HPA in a few minutes. So that was a strong storm that went through Noosa, and again, surprised that that didn't get a very dangerous tag at some point. Why do I track Southeast Queensland weather? Well, I love it. The weather scene in Southeast Queensland is just so enjoyable and so amazing to track. It's so entertaining, and you guys love it as well, so thank you so much for supporting it and supporting my opportunity to track the Southeast Queensland weather scene. But yeah, I just love it, and I love Southeast Queensland in general. It's my favourite place in Australia, or one of my favourite places in this beautiful country. So any chance that I see to get to be able to track Southeast Queensland stuff, I'm all over it. That is for sure. This Desert one, we have to watch it. Do we know if these storms will hit Brisbane? Well, I mean, it just doesn't look like it's going to happen. I mean, we've been tracking these storms for a while now. It looks like Brisbane's going to dodge these storms. We did have a couple of storms move through the northern suburbs, and they've kind of crept up towards Redcliffe now, but should bypass the Redcliffe area. But Brisbane, in this bit of a dry slot between these thunderstorms, which is kind of in these areas here, much of Brisbane looks like it's going to completely miss out on these thunderstorms. Again, thank you so much. It's all I can say, Gus. Very, very appreciated. Incredible. Not only the chat, but these thunderstorms. Even for today, I mean, today we knew was going to be a bit of a potent outbreak. We knew something interesting would happen today, but we didn't expect anything, I guess, of this magnitude here. Today has proven to be quite a lot more substantial than I did initially expect. A couple of these storms are now beginning to show signs of upscaling as well. The one's a little bit further inland, the Esk one, and even this one here that's recently developed in the last couple of minutes around the Kuya area, south of Yarraman. They're developing nicely, but definitely these storms a little bit further north, we're beginning to see upscale, and eventually a lot of these thunderstorms through parts of northern Sunshine Coast and right up towards the Capricornia coastline, they're just going to join into a large line of squalls, basically, move closer to the coastline or move over the coastline, and yeah, just peter out at that point in time. Bundaberg, you could be in for a storm very soon. This thunderstorm here that's developing around the Pine Creek area, really getting its act together in the last couple of minutes. It's becoming quite strong, it's becoming quite concerning, and whilst we don't have a severe thunderstorm warning current for the Bundaberg area, I wouldn't be surprised if one was raised very, very shortly. Still got that very dangerous tag on the Laidley one, which I think is more than fair. But yeah, we do have severe thunderstorm warnings right up towards Bundaberg, and that's likely to continue to increase in potential for severe thunderstorms as the afternoon goes on. Yeah, this Pine Creek one, that's going to move into Bundaberg pretty soon. I mean, the strongest stuff is going to kind of move in this kind of area here, which could bypass the Bundaberg area completely. But we've also got storms that are moving around the Bundaberg area. This one here, also likely to move into the Bundaberg area. We may be looking at a Bundaberg thunderstorm threat very, very soon. That will also go for Agnes Water as well. And maybe even Gladstone, Rockhampton, we can rule out for thunderstorms. And let's just do a check-in on those storms. I'm particularly interested in this Rathdowney one. No rotation yet on the Rathdowney Bow Desert one. And very limited rotation now on the one that's moving around the Harrisville area. However, it's in a bit of a grey zone where the radar doesn't work as well, so we'll check back in on that one in about 10 minutes. Strong winds on the Redcliffe one, bit of a gust front moving through there, and some strong winds as well on the Bribie Island one, bit of a gust front up there, but again, nothing too serious. And then pushing things out towards Marburg, seeing if we can see any rotation on some of these thunderstorms a little bit further inland. Oh, that's not the radar that we want. This is Marburg here. I'm not seeing anything in the way of rotation. They're likely non-severe supercells, or non-supercells full stop, in those areas. Yeah, unfortunately for Gladstone, I'm going to have to rule out the chance of strong thunderstorms there. There's still a chance, but it's not an overly great chance right now. As we stand, still cannot rule them out just yet. It's something we're going to have to keep tabs on. So, questions or comments, leave them in the chat. And if you too want to get mentioned at the end of every forecast update, then please do consider becoming a channel sponsor as well. It's a stormy picture. But again, Brisbane really missing out on these thunderstorms. We just pause it on the latest bomb frame here to highlight where these thunderstorms are. You can see this one, or the main cell here, that's moving through Caboolture and then out towards Bribie Island. That's going to dodge the Brisbane area. This one here towards the north of Esk is also moving towards the northeast. The Harrisville Boona one, actually that one looks like it's beginning to upscale now into a rather large line, some of these storms here. But this one moving towards the south, this one here moving towards the east-northeast, and this one is moving up towards the northeast. But I mean, if we extrapolate that, it leaves a hole through the Brisbane, Redland City and the Logan City area, and also by extension for North Stradbroke Island as well. Nathan, good to see you. I recognise that name from about 3 or 4 years ago. Thank you so much, and that is extremely kind words. And I'd love to get in touch with you as well. So, and this goes for everyone that has storm footage, photos, or anything to add. Feel free to send me through an email as well. There is a link in the channel description. But yeah, wow, that is massively appreciated. Thank you so much. That is a name that I have not seen in a while. So it'll be interesting to see what these thunderstorms down here do. We've got the Rathdowney one, of course, or now becoming more of a Bow Desert situation. And then, like we said, this is the Laidley one here, but that's going to collide with this one, and we'll likely see something upscale pretty soon. Leanne Britton, thank you so much for becoming a channel sponsor. Massively appreciated. Don't know why chat isn't working. Yeah, so a lot of storms. Anything in Toowoomba today? Nah, for all intents and purposes, it looks like the threat for Toowoomba is done, and I'll explain why. We had that thunderstorm that moved through Oakley. That one is now on its way out. This one here, the Cecil Plains, or the second Cecil Plains storm, is moving well towards the west of Toowoomba, and then you can see the track that the Gatton one has taken. That is now moving towards. Interestingly, it's the run to the pack it is. It's moving down towards the southeast, but again, bypassing Toowoomba. And Toowoomba has been kind of like Brisbane. We've had these kind of very interesting kind of alleys develop here that have kind of taken Toowoomba and Brisbane out of the thick of things. But these alleys here kind of funnel these storms eventually into the Gold Coast, so we may be looking at a Gold Coast threat a little bit later on. Something to keep a very close tabs on, that's for sure. Look like these storms are going to skim Beaudesert. Yeah, unless that northern side of the cell can develop in the next kind of 20 minutes or so, which doesn't look like it's going to do because the southern side is just far more powerful. It looks like these storms are just going to skim through the Beaudesert area. Beaudesert will definitely hear some rumbles of activity, but we will, we will likely see Beaudesert miss out on these thunderstorms. Canungra, though, looks like they're going to cop it. So we will be watching Canungra very, very closely. Anything for Maroochydore today or tomorrow? Well, tomorrow I can almost assure you'll see a thunderstorm, but in a similar vein to how kind of Brisbane has missed out, we are now seeing this thunderstorm here. The cell that's impacting Caboolture is splitting off. And just like what we saw with Noosa, large hail, lots of large hail possible, lots of small hail pretty much guaranteed, but heavy rainfall and this thunderstorm moving towards the north. And if it continues to upscale like the way that it is, we'll need one or two more radar frames to really give you a solid answer on that, so about 10 minutes. Maroochydore being up here, it's definitely throwing Caloundra and Northern Bribie Island in the firing line, but it could also throw Maroochydore on the firing line as well, and especially if we see a thunderstorm developing up here around Maleny, we may also see thunderstorm activity there, but very much likely to occur tomorrow in Maroochydore. But for now, touch and go. Keep an eye on this space. We could see a thunderstorm in the Maroochydore area, and thank you so much for that generous tip as well. And thank you so much, Kay, for that generous donation and those very kind words. Massively appreciated. Lots and lots of storms. I think I've said that about 20 or 30 times so far this stream, but yeah, we have a lot of thunderstorm activity through Southeast Queensland, and like I said a few moments ago, a lot more than I thought than what we would have today. I thought that today would be a little bit quieter. I think the mistake that I was making was comparing it to tomorrow's outbreak. Tomorrow is obviously going to be the big brother, but today is on the upper end of what we see for Southeast Queensland at this time of the year. There's some strong storms around, spooky storms, because it is Halloween, of course. I keep forgetting about that. A lot of people looking to go trick-or-treating later, but I imagine that is going to be all good into the Brisbane area, unless the storm south of Harrisville develops up into a squall line and connects to the Beaudesert one, which doesn't look overly likely, definitely not in the next half an hour or so. But if it does, it could throw the Logan City in the firing line for a few thunderstorms. It's possible, but it's not anything overly likely at this point in time. For the lower Logan City, like I said, possible, but not overly likely. And yeah, you'd be hearing thunder right now around the Logan area. The Esk storm is heading for Caboolture, yes. So the Esk storm is up through here. And if we do just roll this back and forth over the last hour, you can see that's kind of just a big line of thunderstorms. But it also looks like a lot of these thunderstorms are now getting a bit of a direction in mind, and the Esk one is going to head towards Kilcoy. The Caboolture one is, like I said, splitting off, and we're going to see this thunderstorm move towards the north or the northeast. And then this one down towards the south is just going to head out towards Moreton Island or over the southern tip of Bribie, and likely kind of fizzle out down there. But again, still, yeah, I mean, if we extrapolate that, it looks like, well, Redcliffe is getting peppered with lightning activity right now, but we may also see this thunderstorm heading towards the southern parts of the Moreton Bay, around Mud Island, and maybe even towards the Brisbane Harbour or airport area. It's definitely going to clip Moreton Island in some way, and potentially Amity Point on the northern side of North Stradbroke Island. And it makes sense because two of these thunderstorms now have had pretty erratic paths. The second Caboolture cell, the weaker one on the southern side, is moving towards the southeast, and the Laidley one has also moved towards the southeast, where a lot of these storms have moved towards the northeast, so in those kind of directions. So just shows you there's a lot of variables in forecasting and tracking storms, and the only way to do it properly is with live coverage. And if live coverage is your cup of tea, then please consider subscribing. Leave a like on the stream as well while you're at it. Stick around for tomorrow, because there is, mark my words, a lot of stuff coming tomorrow in the way of content and live coverage over on the Facebook page and also on the YouTube channel, which you're watching on right now. Yeah, these storms further north are very much beginning to upscale quite quickly. And it looks like we're starting to see some lines of storms and squalls beginning to develop and become a little bit more interconnected with each other. Why am I not using radar scope? That is a good question. Well, I need to read up on their terms of services to see if I can use them on stream. I'm pretty sure that I can, but I would rather track storms in peace rather than have the threat of a lawsuit over the top of my head. And also, I just haven't learnt enough how to use it just yet. I'm not overly comfortable using it just yet. And live streaming like this, it's not a place for me to learn. It's a place for me to track these storms closely and give the best information that I can. And Windy and the BOM, or the old BOM website and radar, make sure that I can give the best information for everybody watching. Gympie in the clear. Gympie is up here. Well, I mean, there's a lot of thunderstorm activity just towards the east of you guys, and it's really developing up quite significantly right now. In fact, we've had a cell just over the east of Gympie beginning to develop, and we've also got a bit of a cell developing towards the west of Gympie now. Now, if I had to kind of extrapolate what's going to happen here, they're both going to continue heading in that northeasterly direction, but we'll likely see this cell here upscale just to the north of Gympie into one larger cell, because that's what these storms are beginning to do now, which means Gympie is looking like a chance of seeing thunderstorm activity. The big Noosa cell moving through the Great Sandy National Park and up towards Rainbow Beach at this point in time, likely as a diminishing storm threat. Let's just check and see what severe thunderstorm warnings we have right now. Yeah, and you can see that has been tagged as a severe thunderstorm developing into the Gympie area. But it is likely to either just clip Gympie or develop further towards the north of Gympie. Very interesting, those thunderstorms in the Bow Desert area are not tagged as severe. That baffles me. 60 decibels is hail. It's intense precipitation if it's not hail. That's very interesting. I would have thought that they'd be severe tagged, but they did tag that very dangerous thunderstorm outside of Laidley, which I doubted at first, and turns out that that was very, very wise of them. And then they've tagged both these thunderstorms here moving up towards Caloundra and across Redcliffe and Bribie Island as severe, which is fair enough because they've definitely got heavy rainfall in them and potentially some hailstones as well. We don't have any information yet on what conditions are actually occurring. I would have thought that they would have referenced the 30 millimeters in about 10 minutes at Noosa from these thunderstorms, and potentially the pea-sized hailstones that developed in the Noosa area, but they haven't done that. But yeah, these thunderstorms down in this part of Queensland, they're going. So it does surprise me a little bit as to why they're not severe warned. And if we go to the Doppler wind readings here, honestly, like the one developing on Redcliffe, that's a strong rotation couplet now beginning to develop. I'm not going to rush and call it a supercell thunderstorm, but you can see just here that deeper blue that's developing as this storm moves toward, or very slowly towards their southeast or the east. That is indicative of a developing supercell, if not already a supercell thunderstorm. And we've got rotation as well around the Bow Desert storm, I believe. If I just turn off locations, that might just be a bit of a glitch. Very weak rotation and very weak winds as well on those areas. But yeah, watch out. I'd say keep an eye on the sky if you're in Redcliffe. Oh, defined hook echo. Do we have anyone in Redcliffe that can tell us what's going on there? So if I really just... I need to kind of a bit of a better zoom here. You can see that kind of hook here, how we've got that kind of lopsided back to front J shape with these echoes, and then that big kind of dry spot here with where all the lightning is occurring. As this thunderstorm moves in this direction here, which looks like it's the direction that it's going, this may be a supercell thunderstorm that we're looking at right now. There's definitely some strong wind gusts around the Redcliffe area, but just looking at the radar imagery, it could be a strong thunderstorm, a strong supercell thunderstorm. Definitely something that we need to keep close tabs on in the next few minutes to see what this storm does do. Very, very interesting. I didn't really expect this one here. And if we just get an idea of what sort of cloud tops we're working with here, yeah, really tall cloud tops. That's why it's throwing out so much lightning, minus 64, minus 65 degrees. So that's the temperature of the top of the clouds. And that gives us an idea of the intensity of the thunderstorm, which means given its likely large hailstones that we're seeing on the radar imagery, coupled with a lot of lightning, strong wind gusts, and the fact that it's got that hook echo now, this is likely a strong, potentially dangerous severe thunderstorms. Yeah, it's got signs of rotation, that's for sure. Redcliffe, we're getting decent-sized hailstones. Yeah, heavy rain, decent-sized hailstones. I'm not surprised to hear that at all. So yeah, Scarborough, which is on the northern side of Redcliffe. Yeah, and that's all going to begin to develop in the next kind of 15 minutes, or in the next 15 minutes or so. There's a webcam at Redcliffe Airport. Oh yeah, right through here. Oh, that is black. Oh, mate. Look at this. This is 22 minutes ago. So obviously our supercell thunderstorm is just through here, but have a look at where the cloud kind of just dips down. So that's what we call a wall cloud. Now that is indicative of when we see a supercell thunderstorm developing. And then this is the cell, or another bit of a cell here. That's likely got a bit of rotation going for it as well. But that is very, very black in there. And a lot of precipitation coming down as well. Far out. Thank you for pointing that out. That is a strong, strong thundercloud. That's a strong storm. Yeah, Redcliffe, we have to keep an eye on Redcliffe. This could be a significant thunderstorm in the Helen Fire. Thank you for the kind words and the generous tip as well. Hail landing in Redcliffe right this minute. How big are we thinking these hailstones? Can you get the kids to wear helmets for trick or treat? No, well, you don't send them out in severe weather conditions like this. This is 1 minute ago. Deception Bay here, just outside of Redcliffe. Obviously coming at peak hour traffic on a Friday afternoon. What could be worse? So yeah, just into the northern side of Redcliffe, northern side around the Scarborough Boat Harbour. Big, big hail is a possibility. 55 decibels, 60 decibels in a few spots. Yeah, get the cars inside now. Especially if you're on the central or the southern end of Redcliffe down towards Margate, Woody Point, Clontarf, those locations, get the car inside right now. Grape-sized hail, yeah. These are some pretty intense precipitation rates, and considering these thunderstorms are quite low-based, I mean, that webcam footage just confirmed that this is more going to be a very heavy rainfall type severe thunderstorm with a lot of small hailstones. I don't expect anything giant or too crazy, but we will be looking at something here with a lot of small hailstones, and it's likely to look like an ice maker has been released across this part of Queensland when these thunderstorms move over. Now, that's a significant rotation couplet over the Redcliffe area. It's not getting any stronger, which is good. Very, very intense precipitation rates now on the Bureau of Meteorology radar. Yeah, that is a defined hook echo type thing. Wally Kokovac, thank you so much for becoming a channel sponsor. Hail really picking up. Yeah, if we can keep these updates coming through in terms of what we're seeing in the Redcliffe area, and this is the beauty of running live coverage, is I can talk to everybody across the scene and ask them what is going on and get a live response to help everybody out. If we can get an idea of what's going on around the Redcliffe area, this is a strong storm in the making. And it basically came from nowhere as well. I mean, it split off from that Caboolture cell, but yeah, really begun developing about 30 minutes ago. And then both those cells kind of split in half, and they're now pulling apart from each other. Lots of lightning in both of them. Spared Bribey Island, that's for sure. And now moving into the Moreton Bay area. Lots of hail, lots of lightning. Yeah. Interesting. Tambourine Mountain just to come. 7 centimetre hailstones. This thunderstorm wouldn't be dropping that. 3-4 centimetres at the absolute maximum. And our friend down in Bow Desert, looks like a thunderstorm did eventually develop right over the Bow Desert area, and a lot of lightning now flashing up through there, especially in the last kind of 30 minutes, but especially in the last kind of 5 minutes, and then eventually on towards Canungra and Mount Tabarine over here. These storms here now weakening off. Doesn't look like they're going to eventuate to anything. The Esk storm as well, nothing too strong. And even these thunderstorms up here as well, nothing too strong. Gympie storm. Well, we've got that severe thunderstorm moving towards the east of Gympie. It makes me pretty confident in saying that Gympie is not expecting severe thunderstorm activity. But a thunderstorm for Gympie is very likely to occur if it's not right now. And then these storms a bit further north, developing up recently. Not really doing much. They're not moving fast at all. Bundaberg could see severe thunderstorm activity, but it is a low chance at this point in time. See if we have an update from BOM. Not just yet, but Redcliffe on this map here at least is out of that severe warn zone. As we are now coming to see, that is most certainly not the case. Redcliffe well and truly in the thick of things, severe thunderstorm wise. Ooh, in the Gold Coast, you need to seek shelter. Not at this time. You're not under a severe thunderstorm warning, and you're not likely to be put under one today either, unless these storms develop over the Springbrook National Park, which they're really struggling by the looks of things. There are some strong cells embedded in here, and the Bow Desert one, which will eventually go on to kind of, by the looks of things, thread the needle between Coomera and Logan City, which is here, and Coomera down here in Narang. Yeah, I don't think there's much to be concerned about on the Gold Coast at this point in time, but again, I will keep close tabs on that. Hardcore drizzle in Melbourne. Yeah, this is a little bit more than hardcore drizzle. Just seeing if we can see any interesting thumbnails on some of this webcam stuff, but it is looking pretty black across some of these webcams. Definitely a lot of thunderstorms around. Now, I'll be very interested to see the next update on the Redcliffe one. It's quite a strong storm. And it's now moving out towards the Moreton Bay area. Yeah, Redcliffe definitely had some hailstones, that's for sure. Caloundra looking south, dark. Yes, that's this storm here. Likely to see that in the next 15-20 minutes or so. Definitely expecting some thunderstorm activity in the Caloundra area pretty soon. Severe storm warning text from the council in the... whereabouts was that again? Southport on the Gold Coast. Far out. So the latest update here. So we've had confirmed hailstones around that 3 centimetre size in the Scarborough area, 2 to 3 centimetre size, and that's given us a reading of 64 or 63, 64 decibels. Nothing crazy. Definitely not the most intense precipitation that I've seen, but Scarborough definitely looking like looking like it's copped some good hail and potentially looking a bit like a winter wonderland right now. Starting to have a big storm in Caloundra, yeah, in the next kind of 15 minutes or so. Looking like that good thunderstorm is going to move up into the Caloundra area. There's a lot of lightning developing right now just to the south of Caloundra, and also some relatively high precipitation rates as well, around that 60 decibel mark. Small hailstones at the best, probably on the side of heavy precipitation, and not an awful lot more in that southern Caloundra cell. Has passed in Caboolture. It looks like that's the case. I don't think we're going to see anything else for Caboolture today, although I'm saying that, we're starting to see some storms developing behind it. I don't think they've got anything to do with the main outbreak though, so I think Caboolture can be safely put into the all clear. Beaudesert Storm really struggling. Normally when they get going down there, they get going and they mean business quickly. So for Beaudesert, that is quite weak for Beaudesert standards, which is definitely good news. Redcliffe Storm is crazy. Yeah, it's really, really well structured. It's an impressive thunderstorm. On radar, it's a very impressive thunderstorm. And even if we have a look at it's pretty solid. For today, it's one of the strongest storms that we've seen. Oh, well, Helen Fire, thank you so much. Kind words, as usual. Lumpy battery. Your humour is quite sharp, mate. But I do appreciate it. Beaudesert and Harrisville cells look weakening. I mean, they're still throwing out a pretty impressive amount of lightning. But if we have a look at the general trend on the radar, they're not really doing much. The one towards the north of Beaudesert looks like it's starting to get itself together. Just looking at the latest frames. And that, like we were talking about 30 minutes ago or so, that Gatton one is now merged into the Harrisville storm. And that's just kind of a line of heavy precipitation and maybe a bit of hail. But yeah, I mean, the business end of the stuff is around the Redcliffe area, but that's now beginning to push out into the Moreton Bay area. Like I said, may clip the Brisbane Harbour in the next kind of 30 minutes or so, but just extrapolating its motion, it doesn't look like it's going to cause any problems to the airport, and it's highly unlikely to cause problems around the Bramble Bay area. Planes on approach from the northeast will have a pretty impressive view of those thunderstorms. How do I access the previous bomb radar? Well, it is simple. Go to reg.bomb.gov.au. That is our best protest against whatever they have given us. One near the Ipswich area, well, south of Ipswich now. This one's just got a lot of rainfall, a lot of lightning, and it's nothing crazy or special. But again, precipitation rates around that 55 to 60 dBz, decibels. That's nothing unusual for this time of the year. It's pretty stock standard and just some heavy rainfall. And some pretty significant rainfall accumulations are a possibility out of that thunderstorm as well. So it is something that we will keep tabs on going forward. Okay, high tornado risk for tomorrow. Tornadoes are of course a chance, but I wouldn't really be calling it a high tornado risk, comparing it to a high American tornado risk. The setup tomorrow is something that we would see more commonly over in the United States in Tornado Alley. So there's definitely a chance of tornadoes tomorrow, and a lot of supercell thunderstorms are expected tomorrow, but we've got to keep our expectations in check. We're talking about Australia, of course, so if tornadoes do develop, there's only going to be one or two of them. They could still be significant, and the chances are still very high, but tornadoes are just a lot rarer in Australia compared to what they are over in the US. Small hail in Beaudesert, about what we would expect from a cell like this. Again, decibels here, 55 to 60 in a few spots, pushing 60 in a few spots. Double Island Point, gust of 80 kilometres an hour. So that's on the northern side of these thunderstorms here. Old bomb address on screen. I'll do that for tomorrow's outbreak, just so everybody can keep into the know what's going on. And yeah, wow, pretty substantial hail will be falling out into the Moreton Bay area. Small hail still expected over that Redcliffe storm. It doesn't increase above 65 decibels until we get out into the Moreton Bay area, which is how dense the precipitation is, decibels. So the small hail will still be occurring in the Redcliffe area, but large, potentially giant hailstones in the Moreton Bay. No update from BOM just yet. And they've now put Boonah and Beaudesert back under a severe thunderstorm warning. And these thunderstorms likely to become non-severe as they approach the Capricornia coastline as well, so not much for concern for those locations. But Ipswich, Boonah, Beaudesert, all under severe thunderstorm warnings. Beaudesert barely under a severe thunderstorm warning. But yeah, this Beaudesert one getting along nicely. It's humming along. It's not anything crazy. And then this Harrisville one, very slow moving cell. Not expected to do much in the way of hailstones, but it could very much drop a lot of precipitation very, very quickly. Oh, Higgins has stated a high risk for tornadoes, I would imagine. Yes, there's a high risk of tornadoes occurring, but we're not going to see dozens of tornadoes. It's just going to be a few of them. 6 centimetre hail in Beaudesert. That would have to be in Scarborough on the extreme northern side of Redcliffe. Oh, I meant Redcliffe, yeah. So on the extreme northern side of Redcliffe in Scarborough, 6 centimetre hailstones most certainly a possibility. But yeah, I don't think that would be too widespread. And again, it looks like Brisbane is going to thread the needle here between these thunderstorms. Pretty pistol. Thank you for those kind words and that generous donation as well. I do kind of wish I lived in Queensland, specifically for the weather. I mean, the weather would be wild, move over to Queensland, but Perth is good. There is definitely good stuff about Perth as well. It's just Southeast Queensland is great. Why is decibels used for storms? Well, decibels is the reflectivity reading, so it's a unit of measurement for reflectivity readings and intensity of this precipitation. So the higher the number, the more intense precipitation. Once we get above a certain number, which is normally about 55, we start talking small hailstones. Getting closer to 60 is medium hailstones around that 2 centimetre mark. 65 can be large hailstones, 3, maybe 4 centimetres, and then above 75 into the 80s, we're talking about giant hailstones. We've seen none of that so far yet today. But you're right, it's a valid question and it's a valid point as well. Two distinct directions of the cells approaching the Gold Coast. Well, pretty easy to explain. In terms of that Gold Coast stuff, unless we see a cell developing, which is possible down here, that could go into the Gold Coast area later. We're likely not going to see anything for the Gold Coast, but for the Beaudesert one here, that's going to move towards the north of Coomera. This one here is going to be very slow moving, and by the time it gets out towards Jimboomba, it's likely to be absorbed by the Beaudesert one. And by then, we may just be talking about a bit of a squall line moving through along this kind of trajectory here with embedded thunderstorm activity that would move through kind of these locations. So it could impact the Gold Coast. We'll just have to wait and see. Oh, thank you so much for those words, dude. Oh, from Brian, thank you so much. 10 centimetre piece here in Beaudesert, yeah, 1.5, 2 centimetres. 6 to 7 centimetre hailstones in Scarborough on Higgins. I'll just check that out right now. That doesn't... Oh, wow. So 6 centimetres in diameter here from Redcliffe. 7 centimetre hailstones from Scarborough. Oh, wow, okay, they're very large. 7 to 8 centimetres in Laidley. Wow. Incredible. They are extremely large hailstones. Far out, wow. That is very, very impressive indeed. About what I expected for Redcliffe, but Laidley, that is a lot bigger than I thought. So, yeah, wow. But yeah, northern side of Redcliffe, big hail. Big hail was going to occur there. And just looking at those thunderstorms, yeah, we did have some big hailstones, that's for sure. Looks like this cell now moving out to the Moreton Bay area, and it doesn't look like it's going to be too much of a concern. That ESC cell as well has died off, and Caloundra is now on the receiving end of a pretty good line of storms. They're moving up there. Heavy rainfall likely in the Caloundra area very soon. And then storm risks, or storms are now beginning to upscale towards the north. Gympie missed out on them, but you can see these storms here now beginning to push towards the north and the northeast. And there's a lot of cells, a lot of lightning activity, and they're now all beginning to upscale. And Guru Chiller, generous tip as well. It is a fantastic community. I'm very, very thankful for each and every one of you. So thank you so much. Massively appreciated. And if you haven't already, please do consider leaving a like and subscribe as well. We've got a lot of coverage coming through tomorrow, so make sure you are following along just so that you don't miss it. And also go and check out the Facebook page as well. Definitely today, it's been a lot more impressive than I did expect it to be. Thunderstorm-wise, there's been more thunderstorms. They've been stronger than I thought. Particularly those massive ones, the ones that drop that giant hailstones in the Redcliffe area. Surely we have an updated severe thunderstorm warning. We should do. Not just yet. Not quite an updated severe thunderstorm warning. That's some massive hail though in the Redcliffe area. 7 centimetres. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. That is huge. If I had a comparison for that, I do. I've got the trusty AirPods box over here. 7 centimetre hailstones. You're talking an AirPods box. I mean, it's huge. When you hold that in your hand, it is just absolutely massive. This is probably closer to about 8 or 9 centimetres, but it's a similar size, and keep in mind it's coming at you at about 200 kilometres an hour, 300 kilometres an hour at times. It's huge hailstones, and they can really mess you up. So when giant hailstones are on the forecast or on the severe thunderstorm warning, you take it very seriously. And it looks like that Buna cell now is beginning to really upscale a little bit and develop a bit of a hail core inside of it. It's still not looking like it's supercellular. If we have a look at the Doppler wind here, there's a very weak rotation couplet now beginning to develop in the Beaudesert area, and I can highlight that by really zooming in. You can see we've got these winds coming towards the radar here in the orange, and then that little blue circle with winds going away from the radar just towards the north, and that's kind of where that supercell would be developing if it was going to develop. But yeah, Hook Echo at Beaudesert. I mean, that's what we're kind of talking about right now. Oh, this out here, no, not likely. It's just a little bit of residual stuff on the radar. It could be developing one, though. I wouldn't be surprised if this went supercellular, particularly as it passed towards the... We've got Tambourine Mountain over here, but particularly as this passed well towards the... Because it's tracking through here, it's going to kind of thread that needle between Jimboomba and Tambourine Mountain and Canungra. It could become supercellular and be quite significant. Looking dark south of Greenbank, yeah. It sure would be. I tell your sister I said hi. Bob. Some action from the Brisbane Airport Only Planes Network streaming the live webcam. That would be excellent. And I've got a couple of people out there chasing tomorrow as well, so I'll be looking at a couple of photos coming in. Could I check Shorncliffe? Whereabouts is Shorncliffe? Is it the same as Redcliffe? But yeah, if it's in the Redcliffe area, then those storms are now beginning to move away. And is it soda water that I was drinking? Well, it probably was when I fizzed it a couple of days ago, but it's not anymore. Any questions, please do send them through. Whew. Jimboomba, lots of thunder getting very dark. Yeah, just towards the south. I mean, obviously you've got that big storm. But again, I think for Jimboomba, you guys are going to thread that needle and you're going to miss the bulk of that seriously severe thunderstorm. Or that, not seriously severe, but that strong severe thunderstorm around the Beaudesert area. Yeah, Sydney and Wollongong as well. We've got a couple of thunderstorms developing down there. We've got a very strong thunderstorm inland from Moss Vale or around the Moss Vale area. 67 decibels here is about as high as I can get. That's definitely the most intense precipitation that we've seen today, but again, non-supercellular in nature by the looks of things, those storms. Yeah, 5 centimetre stones in Redcliffe. Big hail, that's for sure. Brisbane CBD, leaving work at 4:30, ride at 10 minutes to Newstead. Are you going to cop rain? Well, as we've been talking about pretty much the whole stream, the Brisbane area is going to miss these storms for the most part. I mean, even the thunderstorms that were developing a little bit earlier on are now beginning to really fall apart and weaken off. And at like an absolute worst case scenario, this is kind of the farthest north that these storms are going to track, is up to this red line here. And you can see pretty much all of Brisbane in this circle is dodging these storms. Even the Redcliffe storm, which is going to kind of clip the port area where that X is, it's weakening off now and it's probably going to fall apart before it gets to the Brisbane port. So yeah, pretty much everywhere in Brisbane, you guys are going to dodge these thunderstorms. They've either passed towards the north or they're going to pass well to the south. And even the Gold Coast is kind of in this ground as well, a pretty similar situation to Brisbane, where they're definitely not going to see strong severe thunderstorms, not in the next hour or so, but we're also not likely to see anything too crazy thereafter either. Calandra, the lightning is crazy. Yeah, lots and lots of lightning in this thunderstorm, that's for sure, and likely some pea-sized hailstones as well. This is moving really slowly too. I mean, it's been about 20 minutes since we last checked in on this storm here, and it was only a couple of k's towards the south on the northern side of Bribie. It is dropping it's throwing out an awful amount of lightning right now, and yeah, pretty much anywhere in this kind of area, including the Calandra area and through the northern side of the Glasshouse Mountains National Park, expecting hail, and yeah, a lot of precipitation, a lot of lightning. That will all go without saying from this severe thunderstorm. Big storms out in the Oakley area. This thunderstorm here towards the northeast of Kooyar is really beginning to develop, and wow, this one here outside of Oakley, this has got itself going in the last couple of minutes or so, and we'll need to have a look at the Toowoomba radar to really make sense of what is going on. That's Warrego. Hopefully this takes us right in towards fully lost. Now we're out into Room. Not where we want to be. We want to be in Toowoomba, having a look at the Doppler wind and seeing if we have a supercell thunderstorm on our hands developing out here in Oakley. A bit of rotation, that's for sure, but it's not too strong and it's not too crazy right now. Jen, welcome to the channel sponsors. Thank you so much for becoming a channel sponsor as well. Yeah, Oakley will be one to watch. It's not a massive thunderstorm, but it is one that could get quite strong, and it's definitely getting quite strong quite quickly. So Oakley will be a thunderstorm to watch pretty soon. And again, it's really developed in the last kind of... Well, I mean, it was developing about an hour ago around the Cecil Plains area, but in the last few minutes or so, it's really got its act together as it moves across Jundarran and then up towards Oakley. It looks like it's going to clip Oakley. I mean, we've got this hail core here, which is going to move kind of in this kind of direction, and then this one here around Mount Tyson, which will either be fused into this thunderstorm, or we'll just see one big cell develop, which is also a possibility, and then that brings it right over the Oakley area. So yeah, Oakley, I'd say hunker down now, get inside, get away, put the car away, and get ready for some significant... Oh, Oakie. Oh no. Oakie. Alright, well... thank you for the correction. But yeah, for Oakie, get inside and get ready for some potentially strong thunderstorm activity. Yeah, thank you. Middle of a storm, whereabouts are you? Only Plains Network? Yep, we're just talking about that, so we will mention the Only Plains Network tomorrow, and we'll have a look at that on stream as well. Peregrine Beach about half an hour ago, crazy cloud formations. Whereabouts is that? Oh, plenty of videos. Yeah, send them through to my email in the channel description. Oakie. Yes, it's Oakie. Hail core heading for the Logan Village area. Oh, I mean, well to the south of the Logan Village area. And even this one here, it'd be a stretch to call this a hail core. It's got hail in it, but it's very much small hailstones, or of the small variety. Still no update from BOM. And isn't it funny how the Redcliffe wasn't under a severe thunderstorm warning as that very dangerous severe thunderstorm moved through? Then again, I don't want to draw attention to that because this thunderstorm developed very quickly from very little. It split away from the Caboolture cell very quickly, and it would have caught a lot of people off guard. But yeah, it goes to show when you have thunderstorms in your vicinity, you need to be prepared, you need to have your cars away, you need to have everything ready and in full working order before these thunderstorms get to your location. Because when they arrive, you're not going to have time to prepare yourself. And this one here going through the Redcliffe area really was a strong one, came through thick and fast, and yeah, Redcliffe were really on the receiving end of something quite strong. A lot of comparisons being thrown around to the 2023 Christmas storm, including comparisons made by myself, and they have a lot of merit. Thunderstorms tomorrow are going to be very strong, they're going to pack a punch, they're going to be powerful, and particularly later on in the night when we do have that embedded squall line supercell risk where thunderstorms are going to develop along that squall line and we will have embedded supercell activity within those thunderstorms, definitely will be comparable to the Christmas 2023 outbreak, and those storms, mark my words, will pack a seriously powerful punch. Pack a punch, yeah. that is it's going to be a line, word of the day or quote of the day for the CyclonesOZ channel. Enjoy it. Harrisville still dropping a lot of rainfall. Beaudesert or north of Beaudesert towards Jimboomba, outside of Tamborine Mountain, dropping a lot of rain and possibly hailstones as well. Yeah. But again, these storms look like they're going to miss the majority of Brisbane. Maybe clip the southern part of Logan Village through here. But it doesn't look like we're going to see anything too crazy down there. All done in Beaudesert. Yep, it'll be all done for today. Tomorrow, big stuff coming for Beaudesert. If you haven't already, consider leaving a like and also subscribe to the channel as well. Reckon it's going to miss Ipswich. Well, I mean, over the past hour, this storm has hardly moved south of Harrisville. In fact, it hasn't moved south of Harrisville. There's likely some pretty insane precipitation developing down there, and probably a flash flooding risk, if not a flash flooding emergency developing for a few spots just south of Harrisville. Harrisville will likely cop some heavy rainfall from this storm, but Ipswich looking very likely to miss out. And even south of Ipswich down to Ripley, and Greenbank, Redbank, those locations likely to miss out from this thunderstorm as well. The new BOM website is showing something different to what I'm showing because it's delayed. I don't think it can cope with the traffic. That's my theory behind it, and it's very much delayed, which is not ideal in a storm season, that's for sure, or something that's already received enough criticism. But yeah, this stuff that we're looking at live on stream is up to the minute, so it is as current as you can get without being out in the field. Based on the comparison to the Christmas 2023 storms, probably not a good idea to go out and about in Southeast Queensland tomorrow night. No, not a good idea at all. After 5 or 6 o'clock through the Brisbane area and the Gold Coast, widespread thunderstorm activity, it'll be too dangerous to be out. And isolated but still powerful severe thunderstorm activity is expected after about midday, to be honest. Yeah, that's still the Harrisville storm creeping north, but it will peter out by the time it gets to Ipswich. Storms just don't last that long, and I mean, with the way that the storm is moving right now and already showing signs of shriveling up and weakening, still no update from BOM. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's already decreasing in precipitation rates. And even that Beaudesert one is just not looking too healthy. Doppler wind again. Yeah, I mean, we could be seeing a waterspout around the Mud Island area. It's possible. Even that Beaudesert cell, very limited rotation. If it's a supercell, I'd be surprised. The Harrisville one, definitely not a supercell storm. But 1 hour precipitation rates would be extreme around the Harrisville area. On this map here, depicting up to about 75 millimeters. And we're likely to see heavier rainfall very soon in those areas too. So Harrisville one is strong. It's packing a punch, and it's something to be watching. Pouring here in Caloundra. That storm finally made it, has it? Oh yeah, it has, and it's over Caloundra right now. Lots of lightning. This is definitely one of the largest storms that we've seen today. Not the most severe. It's not as strong as the Redcliffe one, so hailstones are not likely to be giant, but there'll be plenty of hailstones in the Caloundra area. Possibly some strong wind gusts and some heavy rainfall as well. But yeah, nothing too crazy. Is the Gold Coast going to cop it today? Not overly likely. Possible, but not overly likely. Could happen, though, for the Gold Coast area. 3 centimetre hail in Caloundra. Yeah, nothing too crazy, but still, 3 centimetres, it can cause damage. It can cause injuries, so stay inside and make sure you are away from these severe thunderstorms. Beaudesert, huge rainfall and small hail. Yeah, definitely some rainfall around the Beaudesert area, and again, small hailstones moving north to Jimboomba now. And if we just have a look at it, you can see that we do have that hail core developing through here, and lots of lightning and heavy rainfall just towards the east of that cell, which is moving up here. And then, yeah, again, like Jimboomba could cop it. Definitely anywhere within those 2 red lines, likely to see something in the way of heavy rainfall. But in terms of if it will get up towards Logan Village or any of those areas, again, not overly likely at this point in time. Possible, but not overly likely. What centimetre hail, if that matters, can damage cars? Well, my car has seen 3 centimetre hail and it walked out unscathed, no dents in that. So I'd say 3 centimetres is probably as big as you want to go. But yeah, anything over 4.5 normally causes some pretty substantial panel damage to cars. 5 centimetre hail smashes windshields 99% of the time. Hail and Clontarf. Ipswich for tomorrow looking pretty significant. I mean, everywhere in Southeast Queensland, everywhere that I'm about to circle right now, very, very significant chances of strong severe thunderstorm activity. And then we've obviously got a couple of distinct areas that are likely to see thunderstorms, which is where I'm drawing right now, that arrow towards the north, Brisbane and the Gold Coast later in the day from squall lines that will move through, and then just massive supercell activity out in this area here towards the west of Warwick, out towards Goondiwindi, and even big thunderstorm potential further south as well, in towards the northern parts of New South Wales. Big thunderstorm potential there, and right down the New South Wales coastline as well. I mean, if we really zoom out and capture where thunderstorms are going to occur, lots and lots of thunderstorms expected right down towards kind of the Illawarra coastline. So that includes Sydney, which is through here, Newcastle and the Hunter region, and even down towards Wollongong and Canberra, all chances of seeing thunderstorm activity tomorrow. Bundaberg missed out on that severe thunderstorm as we thought that it would pass towards the the west. Good to see the estimate there came true. Slow-moving pulse storms outside of Agnes Water and a slow-moving storm moving into the Gladstone area right now. Could deliver some heavy rainfall, especially towards the immediate west of Gladstone. It looks like Gladstone is going to be protected for the most part from this thunderstorm that's moving through, but you can see some of the eastern suburbs may see something, and then out towards Yarwun as well, and along the Calliope River may see some thunderstorm activity out there. And we've also got some cells developing much further inland outside of Miles, a strong cell beginning to develop out there, and that's late afternoon, evening stuff. And this storm here outside of Oakey with no L is throwing out some pretty substantially sized hail right now. Big hail, 69 decibels. Yeah, you'd be pushing 4, maybe 5 centimetre hail with those sort of readings. Cell out near Tara carrying steam. Tara, I imagine, is out here. Oh no, this cell here just outside of Tara, that's gathering a bit of steam as well. We've now got the proper afternoon outbreak beginning to kick up, and that's going to bring more severe thunderstorm activity. And in fact, yeah, it looks like some big thunderstorms are a possibility, at least on what the forecast models are suggesting. It looks like it's just going to continue. We're going to see thunderstorms continue to become a little bit more widespread as we get out towards the evening, especially further inland. But in terms of the risk through the Brisbane city area, looking pretty minimal right now. None of the major convective models have anything into the Brisbane city area. Now that Boona one is one that I'm going to keep an eye on. Possible it gets strong. The Moreton Bay one beginning to die off now, so that's a Redcliffe cell. And even the rotation on the Beaudesert one is pretty weak. There's no real strong rotation signals now on the radar anymore. A bit of a strong gust front moving through Caloundra by the looks of things. I'm wondering if we do have weather observations in Caloundra. Oh, just towards the north of Caboolture actually. At Birraburrum we had nearly 20 millimetres of rainfall very quickly. And then this is in a beacon here. Strongest wind gusts leading up to that supercell thunderstorm that moved through Redcliffe, 50 kilometres an hour. Again, that's nothing too crazy or insane. And then further inland here, you can see that strong one moving up towards Oakey. That's about to impact Oakey actually, so we'll have a look at that in just a sec. Still doesn't look like it's got too much in the way of rotation. But yeah, out towards Oakey. Inside now, and then just towards the northwest of Oakey. Make sure you are definitely inside, out of the way from this hail core that's moving through. This is a strong, severe thunderstorm moving into those areas. Yeah, Oakey one looks good. Brisbane Airport, 6:30 PM, should be good. 7 centimetre hail in Caloundra. That's huge. Oh, so out towards Caloundra West, yeah, we've got a very powerful hail core in there. This is... That Caloundra one's a strong storm. That's a dangerous thunderstorm. Would you look at that? Logan Central now in the firing line. Brisbane under a severe thunderstorm warning. No update on what we've seen so far. Caloundra not being tagged as dangerous, surprisingly. Yeah, just to zoom out and have a look at this picture. It's a stormy one, that's for sure. Lots and lots of storms. Lots and lots of storm activity. Yeah, that Caloundra one, pack an A-punch, as we say here. I don't think it's got 7 centimetre hail, though. That's giant hailstones. And even the Redcliffe one didn't have a signal. 7 centimetre hailstone is strong. But it's big, and it's strong, and it's nasty, so it could. Yeah, like I said, like today has been a big, big day for severe thunderstorms. It's been a lot better than I initially thought that it would be. So it's been impressive by all metrics. It's been incredibly impressive. Backyard full of hail in Caboolture. I imagine that'd be outside of Caloundra. No Halloween trick-or-treating, nah. Not from a storm like this. They're so slow moving. I mean, an hour ago that storm was moving around Caboolture. And they are so slow moving. Yeah, wow. Yeah, so do we have any more confirmed reports in terms of how big the hail is? 4 centimetres I'm seeing a lot of, and looking at Higgins, they've got about 3 or 4 centimetres in. Yeah, so 3 or 4 centimetres. Up to 5. So that would go in line with what we were warning for in terms of large hailstones. 3 to 5 centimetres is what we constitute as large hailstones. Anything over 5 is giant hailstones, which can cause some very serious problems. 2 centimetre hailstones. Black clouds to the west of Sunnybank. Far out, and a lot of lightning as well to go with it. And you're getting up to about 55, 60 decibels in the Caloundra area. Now moving towards the north of Caloundra. Northern suburbs, we're talking Little Mountain, then up towards Watala. You guys are now in the firing line for this hail core that's moving through in the Caloundra thunderstorms. Yeah, Laidley got smashed. Massive hailstones outside of Laidley from that big thunderstorm. But that was a very quick thunderstorm. That developed quickly and it fell apart pretty quickly. How many lightning strike? Oh, how are lightning strikes recorded? You have lightning detectors, and I believe it just detects a flash or a charge or something. Not 100% sure how they work, actually. That's something I'm going to have to look into. So yeah, 3 to 4 centimetres is what we're seeing. Big hailstones. I hope everybody was inside and away. That's a big cell outside of Yarraman. That would have giant hailstones in it, 5 centimetres plus at 70 decibels. Dodged Yarraman. They get escaped by the skin of their teeth, and same with Blackbutt, skin of their teeth as well. Now moving into the Benarkan National Park. Big hailstones expected through that national park. Yeah, we got some funny names, that's for sure. Trick-or-treating will be fine after about 6 o'clock and through the Brisbane city area. I mean, I don't see any reason as to why it would be off today. These thunderstorms, whilst they are now, the Bow Desert one's actually getting a bit of moving to it. The Harrisville one's falling apart, so Greenbank, just a bit of light shower and rainfall activity expected there. But the Bow Desert one, if we were to have a look at kind of where it's expected to go, kind of in this direction here, which would put the Logan City in the firing line, but it'd only be the southern area of the Logan City towards the south of the Logan River. So these sort of areas through here is where we'd be looking at the thunderstorm impacts. and kind of on that area on the Albert River is where the strongest stuff could be. Anywhere else, it's likely to be pretty minimal and pretty short-lived, and that's if this Beaudesert storm can, hold on to the intensity that it's got right now. Electromagnetic pulses. That's right. Oh, have we had any reports of hail from Redcliffe? Yes, we have had massive hail reports from Redcliffe. 5 centimetres at least through a wide swathe of locations, and some reports of 6 to 7 centimetre hailstones as well in the Redcliffe area. So big hailstones fell out of the sky, or big rocks fell out of the sky. That's kind of the closest thing that we can compare some of those hailstones to into the Redcliffe area. They really copped an absolute hiding from that cell that moved through, which is now moving towards the north of Mud Island, and again likely with some giant hailstones in there. 72 decibel readings. It's a stormy scene through southeast Queensland, and just think that today is the little brother. Tomorrow's going to be more wild. So this is Inner Beacon here at Hope Banks. I'll be very interested to see what wind observations we get there. So far it's about 50 kilometres an hour is the maximum gusts that we're seeing. Beaudesert picked up 15 millimetres in a couple of minutes. Rainfall and precipitation rates look to be dropping off just a little bit. Rainfall now picking up at Coomera, and rainfall also slowly picking up at Sanctuary Cove, and a few light drops now making it into the Gold Coast area as well. But these storms are going to kind of merge into each other by the looks of things. I mean, if we were to extrapolate the movement here of these thunderstorms, yeah, you can see eventually they kind of throw themselves into each other. Interesting. Western flank of that Coomera storm, and we're starting to see some rotation. Very weak rotation. Yeah, just towards the west of Coomera. Weak rotation. Nothing too crazy. Storm heading for Toowoomba. More forming at Laidley. Ooh, it has split off. Well, I did not expect that to happen. And yeah, I mean, if we kind of track its track, that would put it into the northern suburbs of Toowoomba, north of that line. Yeah, right, okay, so Toowoomba is definitely a place to watch now. That Mount Tyson storm, which will then go into the northern area of Toowoomba and into Highfields. If it can hold its intensity, it doesn't look too severe or too strong, and it's not really throwing out much lightning or anything, so likely just a little bit of heavy rainfall for a brief period of time. But if it can make it to Toowoomba, it will be a thunderstorm there. It's all really beginning to upscale now by the looks of things as well. North of Miles here, 66 decibels, quite strong, quite significant. Potentially large hailstones there. Caloundra, now moving north of Caloundra. Still definitely some large hailstones moving towards the north of Caloundra into the canals area along the water, but I wouldn't expect anything too crazy in the Caloundra area from this point onwards. Won't they cancel each other out when they merge? Probably. They will combine into one cell and become a multicellular storm. And it's similar to the Fujiwara effect of a tropical cyclone, especially if they're supercells. They'll just kind of blow each other apart, for lack of a better way to describe it. But I think these storms are going to get weaker by the time they get out there, because the Redcliffe one is already showing signs of weakening. It's just a bit of a gust front right now moving towards Amity Point on the northern side of North Stradbroke Island. And the Jimboomba one here, or the north of Beaudesert one outside of Coomera, it's also not getting any stronger right now. What's the most severe storm that I've tracked? Honestly, probably the cell that went through Brisbane last weekend. I've only done live coverage a few times on this channel, and trust me, there'll be a lot more, so subscribe if you haven't already. But we will be probably looking at that record being broken tomorrow, for sure. Big storms of Brisbane, all on the cards for tomorrow. Yes, the intersection of these storms is probably going to be somewhere here on North Stradbroke Island. And it does throw the Logan City area into the mix of things for these thunderstorms. Greenbank will see a couple of showers from these storms as well. Maybe some heavy rainfall in the next kind of 20 minutes or so. But yeah, definitely around the Logan Village and then towards the southeast of Logan, south of the Logan River and through the Albert River area. We may be seeing some interesting things there in the way of thunderstorms. Keeping an eye on it. We will be keeping an eye on it. Yeah, wow, this Blackbutt storm, 72 decibels, that's got giant hailstones in it. I wonder if it's severe warned as well, because it is close enough. Yeah, so this one here, slow moving, severe warned, that would get a very dangerous tag, I reckon. And Toowoomba, yeah, that's got a severe thunderstorm tag as well. The cell towards, well, that's broken off from the Oakey one. It's got hail in it, and it's got a lot of heavy rainfall as well. 64 decibels is small hail, maybe even 3 centimeters in size. And yeah, just having a look at its track here, it actually kind of takes it right in towards Toowoomba. So Toowoomba, I'm going to say, yeah, 20 minutes from now. Yeah, 20 minutes, we're going to be seeing this thunderstorm move through the Toowoomba area. 25 minutes if you're in the east. But get inside, get the car away, and get ready. That Oakey one is powerful. Yeah, strong rotation couplet now on the Oakey one. That's very likely a supercell. Toowoomba one, just a strong pulse thunderstorm. Even the Beaudesert one and the Coomera, well, now the Coomera one is not very interesting. It's not anything crazy or silly strong. And the one that's moving it out towards Amity Point right now is also not that strong either. Petering out in Caloundra, as we would expect with that storm passing well to the north now. Logan Central missing out. Yeah, for the most part, it looks like Logan Central is going to miss out on these thunderstorms. Logan City, Logan Central up here. Logan Village next, I'm going to say 10 minutes. And then up towards the Albert River here. So we're talking about Widaru, Mount Warren, Beenleigh, Bannockburn. Ignore those hyperlink locations on the screen. It looks like Windy's trying to catch up here. And then Ormeau as well. Ormeau or Ormau. And Yatala. In the next 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah. Storms to watch, and still holding strong with some pretty intense precipitation here. 66 decibels in spots. Small hailstones for sure. Lightning in the Brisbane area. Thunder and lightning starting to get more intense at Maroochydore. Yeah, well, it's now moving into the Maroochydore area. It looks like it's going to, well, it's going to move right over the Mooloolaba area and through the, I believe it's the Mooloolaba River. Yeah, the Mooloolaba River. We're going to see this move, or you can see the edge of the, I guess, the hail core associated with this thunderstorm is going to kind of move in this area here, which will put Mooloolaba and Alexandra Headland, Mountain Creek, but and also the location is currently being impacted by this hail core in the firing line for some large hailstones. But it also looks like this thunderstorm here is now beginning to peel a little bit further away from the coastline, and it's going to, well, pretty much everywhere towards the west of this line here isn't actually expecting anything. So this would include the Maroochydore River, or the Maroochy River, and then towards the west of Maroochydore, up towards Bleebley, Nambour, Palmwoods, and then even up towards Coolum. This storm should be offshore by the time it gets itself towards Coolum, hopefully. There's a lot of hail in this thunderstorm here and some pretty intense precipitation as well as a result. 29 millimeters at Rainbow Beach, or this is at Double Island Point actually. Strongest wind gust 80 kilometers an hour. That was sustained for a few minutes actually, and a lot of this rainfall came through extremely quickly as well. That Maroochydore storm has a bit of rotation in it. The Gympie Doppler is pretty miserable. It's very, very glitchy, but this Maroochydore storm does have a bit of a punch, and yeah, for sure, it's worth watching. You can see that track that this storm has taken so far, like where the lightning path is. So you can see it's going to take it offshore pretty soon. It's moving away from the coast right now. Yeah, nothing happening on the Burleigh Heads and the Gold Coast area. If stuff is going to occur on the Gold Coast, it's going to occur further north. And you can see you're now under that anvil, which means some light precipitation is possible. Oh, blah. But yeah, the action for the Gold Coast area will happen north of, say, SeaWorld, like where the amusement parks are, some Movie World, Dream World, and then up around Coomera and through Sanctuary Cove as well. Bit of hail and a small tornado in Sippy Downs. That would likely be a microburst. None of these storms look like they're producing tornadoes. The chance of tornadoes is going to be tomorrow. The Toowoomba cell, I knew that it wasn't much of a problem, so that's why I was surprised when Bomb tagged it as being severe. But it's just, like, in the last 5 minutes or so, kind of collapsed in on itself. Now, sometimes these thunderstorms do, they breathe, they pulse in and out, they deflate, and then they inflate once again. But this Toowoomba cell here is just kind of collapsed in on itself, for all intents and purposes, died, basically. And it's now taken a bit more of a north-easterly jog. So for Toowoomba, you're not expecting crazy severe stuff, but you may still see a strong severe thunderstorm pass through, and particularly through the northern suburbs. It's not impossible to see hail from this thunderstorm. This Oki storm is obviously much stronger. It's this storm's big brother, 74 decibels now. That would be dropping some giant hailstones. We'd be talking 6 centimeters, I reckon, in that Oki storm. And a lot of thunderstorm activity behind it too, and in fact another storm beginning to develop now around the Boona area. Lots of fresh lightning there, but this is a multi-cell thunderstorm, so we're not talking about a supercell, we're not talking about anything too crazy here. It's just, you can see it here, a lot of like individual spots where lightning is occurring, a lot of different locations where lightning is occurring. This is what we call a multi-cell thunderstorm, similar to what we had in the Harrisville area about an hour ago. So lots of rainfall is possible. Slow moving stuff, nothing too crazy, but yeah, I don't expect anything too crazy from this thunderstorm here. This Logan one as well looks like it might be breathing in and out too, weakening off a little bit as it moves up towards the Logan City area, and it also looks like it's becoming multicellular as well. But yeah, these storms around the Boona area, a couple of small hailstones. Well, there's definitely going to be some small hailstones in those thunderstorms, and a lot of rainfall as well. But I don't really foresee anything nuts happening in those areas. And again, Coomera just passing now to the northwest. Yeah, so the old bomb website, go to reg.bom.gov.au. And yeah, that storm outside of Blackbutt, big rotation in that now. Big rotation up here. So this is outside of Nanango as well, pointed out by the chat again, once again. Very big rotation in that. See if I can get it on the Townsville radar. Yeah. So if we stop this on the latest frame here and we zoom right in, you can see those contrasts between the deep orange and that blue in this area here. This is very likely a supercell thunderstorm now beginning to develop as it moves off into this direction. The Oki one, which is located here, a bit of rotation, but nothing crazy, and there's no rotation happening around that Toowoomba cell, which is moving towards the Toowoomba area. And again, nothing expected from that cell either. Check Gympie Doppler radar towards the east of Gingin. We can do that for sure. Well, I imagine we're looking at a supercell thunderstorm. Oh, wow. Oh, now it's coming closer to the Yeah, this might just be a bit more of a glitch as opposed to a very strong rotation couple. It is possible, and it's definitely a strong storm around the Gingin area towards the north of Childers, but I don't think that's a strong rotation couplet per se. I think that's just a glitch as this kind of approaches the radar. It still could be, though. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but it's not likely to be a tornado or anything too nutty. But thank you for the suggestion, and also thank you for that generous donation as well. All right. Lovely, lovely storm activity. Big, big storms too. And it really looks like these storms out here are becoming multicellular now, which means more rainfall. Brisbane, like I said, is going to miss the majority of this activity, especially today, but tomorrow we're going to see big stuff into the Brisbane area. Yeah, I'm going to be live. We'll be live for a long, long time tomorrow, that's for sure. So, gearing up for it. Hopefully, my poor voice recovers tonight. Fitzpatrick, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Oh, 1.5 centimetre hail at Yarrabilba. Whereabouts is that? Is that towards the north of Caloundra, so around the Maroochydore area? Big strong storms further inland. These are some significant supercell storms developing, and they're only going to get more intense as well around the Kingaroy area, and in fact strong stuff could go for Kingaroy pretty soon. This entire area that I'm about to circle has a significant risk of developing strong severe thunderstorms in the next couple of hours or so, and you can already begin to see them. We've got multicellular storms here at Cecil Plains, that strong storm outside of Oakey, that weak storm, that severe warned going for Toowoomba, and then this one here up at Blackbutt, which is extremely powerful, all in that severe warned area. Tops of them storms minus 48 degrees. Yeah, it's nothing special. The cloud tops are nothing special. They're not as tall, but it's going to be a lot more special tomorrow, let me tell you. Yeah, tomorrow's storm's going to be way worse. They're going to be a lot more intense than this. I assure you they're going to be a lot more intense, a lot more full-on than what we're seeing right now. Significant. Very, very significant. Lots of significant storms around here. Yeah, this is the third outbreak of supercell thunderstorms. 4 if you include one of the storms yesterday outside of Kilcoy that became a brief supercell. But this is the third significant severe thunderstorm, or supercell thunderstorm outbreak that we've had so far this season, and we haven't even got to tomorrow yet, so that would be the 4th, potentially the 5th day. Near Logan, yes, this storm now coming into the Logan village area. Precipitation rates on this one are just not that strong, and I wonder if it is actually severe warned. It is severe warned, but it also looks like it's on its way out. There's not as much lightning in it. The Doppler readings aren't anything crazy. We are now beginning to see a few cells develop further towards the north around the Logan City area, and likely we'll see these move over the Logan City area. So whilst you're not expecting full-blown severe thunderstorms through the Logan City area, you may be seeing some strong precipitation rates pretty soon. So 1.5 centimetre hailstones south of Logan Village. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, yeah, just through here. So when this storm passed over, we had those precipitation readings of around 50 to 55 decibels, pushing close to about 60, I believe, further inland. Yeah, 60 towards the Albert River. They're still quite strong. The Logan Village is likely seeing the similar sized hailstones as well, so 1 to 1.5 centimetres. Yeah, but will Camp Hill be affected today? I actually did a forecast for Camp Hill yesterday for a good mate of mine. It looks like storm chances are pretty unlikely, but as I said to him, and as I'll say to everybody looking for trick-or-treating plans today in the Brisbane City area, just watch the radar. Keep an eye on the radar, see what's happening, see what's coming your way, and if thunderstorms do develop in your area, avoid your plans of trick-or-treating. It's a coin toss for some places. But yeah, in the next kind of 30 minutes or so, Logan City, and then maybe in an hour or so, Redland City potentially could be pretty stormy. Criminal, the lack of warnings for the Gold Coast area and the hinterland. Yeah, well, we haven't seen thunderstorms there today, and I feel like a lot of these thunderstorms have been pretty well warned by BOM. A couple of them have made me question, especially the Redcliffe one, and even the one right now going for Toowoomba. That shouldn't be warned, but overall, for the amount of thunderstorm activity that's been going on, the warnings have been excellent. So really good to see, and great confidence going into tomorrow, which will be one of the biggest outbreaks in recent years. And now, wondering why I don't use radar scope. I explain this every now and then, but it's just because I'm not as familiar with it yet, and I'm not 100% sure with their copyright rules at this point in time. But I'm going to look into it tonight. If I'm using radar scope tomorrow, get excited. Sherelle Legg, thank you so much for becoming a channel sponsor. Massively appreciate it. And thank you so much to everybody that has become a channel sponsor today as well, and to everybody that sent through a super chat. Very much appreciated. Big thunderstorm here moving towards Kulpi. 66 decibels, 71 decibels in there. Likely almost giant hailstones, the one up north of Blackbutt. Still got large hailstones embedded within it as well. Could even be giant. Maroochydore in the thick of things. Got that thunderstorm moving over the Maroochy River, and it has spread out actually to take part in the Sunshine Coast and moving up towards Twin Waters and Pacific Paradise and Sunshine Coast Airport. However, it looks like the heavy rainfall and the hail core that could be developing in these thunderstorms here now about to move out to sea. We may still see some development here up towards the Sunshine Coast Airport. But it looks like, just considering the lightning that's now developing in this thunderstorm here, or lack of lightning that's in this thunderstorm, it also looks like this is going to begin to weaken off and peter out pretty soon. And the worst of the precipitation, it's likely only small hailstones now around the Sunshine Coast. 55 decibels is barely small hailstones at that. The real stuff is much further offshore. Much appreciated, Sherelle. Missed the Gold Coast? You betcha. That Gold Coast dome is unbreakable, and they sure have missed the Gold Coast, that's for sure. So, how good. Another bottle of throat spray. Much needed. I didn't actually end up getting the first bottle of throat spray. I went to Dan Murphy's and picked up some of the throat spray from Dan Murphy's. Joel, thank you so much for the generous donation. Comparable to December 2023. Yeah, I mean, the outbreak tomorrow the setup is almost identical, particularly later on in the afternoon and the evening. There is a really, really big setup, especially for large squall lines with embedded supercell activity, very similar to what we saw in the end of 2023. And I keep highlighting it, but again, like, these are the areas that we need to be watching very closely. Oh, that's actually a very bad circle, but yeah, including like Caboolture, Brisbane, Gold Coast, those sort of areas, very big severe thunderstorm potential through tomorrow afternoon and evening. What got me into tracking storms, I've always had an interest over the past decade just because I've been around fishing and whatnot, so I've always had an interest for weather. No, I'm not from Southeast Queensland, I'm actually from Perth, all the way on the other side of Australia, so yeah. JD throat spray, exactly. Maroochydore still getting, starting to die down, but rain is still pretty moderate. Yeah, and we're going to continue to see that heavy rainfall over the next kind of 5 to 10 minutes or so before this storm finally pulls away, but definitely on its last legs by the looks of things. Talisha, thank you so much for that generous donation as well. Beautiful. These thunderstorms further south now. Another round developing. Boonah, Coralbin, Rathdowney. Thunderstorm activity beginning to brew in these areas as well. multicellular thunderstorms at that as well. So you can see that there's a lot of like scattered lightning activity within these thunderstorms, or like different densities of lightning activity in a few spots compared to the kind of remnants of the lightning activity developing in the Coomera storm. And then another cell developing down towards the south. This is all going to combine into a storm that we recently saw in the Harrisville area, that large multicellular but very high precipitation storm mode. So that's what we're expecting. Chance of a tornado near Brisbane? Yeah, it's most certainly possible. Tomorrow afternoon and evening, tornadoes will be a chance right through southeast Queensland. So again, Brisbane city area is a possibility. Supercell thunderstorms and normal thunderstorms, the distinction is, the rotation. 7 centimetre hailstones on the Sunshine Coast. Far out. Oh, yeah, in the Mooloolaba area, yeah, they had big hailstones there, as we predicted with this thunderstorm moving through. Big hailstones would have developed along the coast of the Mooloolaba River. And again, north of Caloundra as well, big thunderstorms would have developed too. And Caloundra, we had confirmed reports of 5 to 7 centimetre hailstones as well. Dan Murphy's natural anaesthetic. I'll need it for tomorrow. No, I'm fully independent, Joel. Fully independent. We're not just a one-man show here. So, keeping it fully independent. It's the only way to be able to provide unbiased and accurate weather reporting. And Jake Paul, thank you so much for that generous donation. Great to see you around. Round 2 down at Rathdowney. Yeah, lots of thunderstorm activity developing down here. High decibel readings as well, meaning that we're starting to see hail cores beginning to develop if we can get this cursor to the weather picker to work. But yeah, 60 decibels, small hailstones developing in those storms most likely. And then just refreshing this here. No update from the bomb in terms of warnings. That Maroochydore storm should have been very dangerous if we've had 7 centimetre hailstones in there. And then, yeah, just towards the north of Wollongong along the Queensland-New South Wales border, we've had a cell develop there very quickly. And it's just all multicellular stuff now developing in the scenic rim area. So expect on and off very heavy rainfall as thunderstorms move through. Just lots of the heavy rainfall stuff, lots of lightning, just messy thunderstorm activity, and some small to medium-sized hailstones as well, up to 4 centimetres is also a possibility. Morayfield bomb has just updated it. Not quite. It's at 3:40, so that was nearly 40 minutes ago. We'll keep an eye on that. Gympie get anything tonight? Gympie's chances of storms are still going to be there, and we've got a couple of thunderstorms developing. And again, if we extrapolate the motion of kind of the storm train that's developing, we've got 3 separate cells here that are around we've got one outside of Oakey, another one here north of Blackbutt. They're heading towards the Gympie area, but they're likely to be a lot weaker by the time they get to Gympie up here. So unless we see more thunderstorms, specifically around the Kingaroy area beginning to develop, I don't think Gympie is a big chance of seeing thunderstorms later tonight. And if we have a look at the 700 HPA wind speeds as well, winds are now beginning to pick up around the Gympie area, so thunderstorms are moving through a lot quicker. But yeah, nothing in the way of seriously strong severe thunderstorm activity around the Gympie area at this point in time. Thunderstorms, though, most certainly are a chance. Thunder Chambers Flat, Queensland. Storm warning for Gladstone, yeah, just towards the west of Gladstone. Lots and lots of thunderstorms, and lots of thunderstorms firing through southeast Queensland as well. 75 decibels in the Illawarra. Oh wow, south of Boral. Far out, that's a storm and a half, isn't it? 75 decibels, you're talking giant hailstones. It's very lucky that a lot of this is just National Park, but Mossvale is about to get smashed with some of these hailstones here. Very significant hail. The storm here that's developing has a powerful hail core. And if we have a look on the bomb radar as well outside of Wollongong and have a look at the Doppler wind, could be supercellular too. There's some good rotation in that. I hope that paints the picture. It is a stormy scene across Queensland. But yeah, just to kind of put any concerns to bed around the Boonah Desert area, a lot of these thunderstorms, the multicellular ones beginning to develop around the Boonah and the Desert area now, they are not supercellular in nature, which means there's limited rotation in them. And they're also not overly dangerous or potent or powerful either. But definitely some heavy rainfall, and we're beginning to see those rainfall accumulations add up. And the places that have seen thunderstorm activity have really picked up some solid rainfall accumulations. It's a shame we don't have observations on the Redcliffe area. But yeah, Desert's had 15 millimetres. A lot of that fell in a few minutes. Rathdowney likely picking up some very significant rainfall accumulations as well. And just checking up on what we've seen so far since 9 o'clock. The places that have copped thunderstorms out here, Modloo here, so outside of Caboolture, 50 millimetres in a 1 hour period, 60 millimetres at Bells Creek North. That would have fallen very, very quickly as well. And then outside of Noosa here, 50 millimetres in a very short amount of time. The slow moving storms outside of Bundaberg, 55, 52 millimetres and a few spots above 30 millimetres as well. So the places that have seen thunderstorms, they are picking up rainfall and they are picking it up quick and fast. Rathdowney, 2 millimetres. I'm going to keep a very close eye on the Rathdowney accumulations. But yeah, you can see Koala Court, Bells Creek, 59 millimetres in a 1 hour period. That's very extreme. Oh, that's extremely heavy rainfall. And we're likely to see a lot more of it. Boonah, Rathdowney, plenty more rainfall still to come from these storms. And of course, if you haven't already, please do consider leaving a like. Subscribe to the channel too. I've got lots coming in terms of live coverage tomorrow. Brisbane in the firing line for significant thunderstorms. So make sure you are subscribed so that you stay up to date with the most important information as these thunderstorms unfold. They are seriously, seriously strong. And they're packing a punch. As we have said all stream, these thunderstorms are packing a punch. Maroochydore Cell dying off now. Multicellular storm north of Rainbow Beach moving up and towards the southern part of Fraser Island. Multicellular storm is also, and you can see just towards the north of Gympie, lots of lightning kind of spread out on this line here as 3 separate storm cells move in conjunction with each other. And that's what a multi-cell thunderstorm is. And even that Bundaberg storm now beginning to peter out. Even the storms a little bit further north as well, so outside of Miriam Vale and then up towards Cloudstone, they're also beginning to peter out a little bit as well. They're very slow moving and likely got some pretty significant precipitation rates in them as well. They're more tropical in nature, those thunderstorms, in all honesty. Alright, so this thunderstorm here that is moving over the Brisbane River now, still got an intense hail core, 65 decibels, a little bit weaker from where it was, and it also looks like it's now beginning to upscale, but taking it over the Rattans National Park, and then eventually this will be on towards Gympie and locations south of Gympie, but it's got a lot of ground cover before it gets to Gympie. Yeah, let people know if they're in the path. Rathdowney, multicellular storms, lots of rainfall, risk of flash flooding. Update on the severe thunderstorm warning. Very dangerous thunderstorms, destructive winds, giant hailstones and heavy rainfall. And yeah, Brisbane now in the warning zone for potentially dangerous severe thunderstorms. 2 cells with that elusive tag of very dangerous. So very dangerous severe thunderstorms are developing. It's a serious situation, and very dangerous thunderstorms pose a significant risk to lives and property. 7 centimetre hailstones in Redcliffe confirmed by BOM, 5 to 7 centimetre hailstones at Laidley Creek at 2:30, and then reports of 3 to 4 centimetre hailstones at Perigon and Gatton from BOM. 7 centimetre hailstones is very impressive. So 7 centimetres at Scarborough on Redcliffe and 7 centimetres at Laidley Creek from that first supercell that we started tracking when this stream first went live a long time ago. But similar hailstones likely occurring in these storms here, particularly in that Blackbutt cell. Similar hailstones, 3, 4, 5, 6 centimetre hailstones likely occurring up there. Hammering down Sunshine Coast Airport, yeah, just along the coast or clipping the coastline. That thunderstorm is, well, I wouldn't really call it hammering down, but it's definitely quite heavy, some of the rainfall. It's not hail or anything, but yeah, definitely heavy rainfall occurring in those areas. Says around Gladstone are picking up, well, sort of. They're trying to get themselves going. That multicellular cluster of thunderstorms is trying to get itself going. But again, we will keep an eye on it. See if we've got any more reports coming through news-wise or over on Facebook. Nothing yet in the way of massive hailstones through a swathe of locations. Yeah. It's a busy one. Lots and lots of thunderstorms. And you can see, just compared to where we were a few minutes ago, or a few hours ago rather, there's so many more thunderstorms now, but they're a lot weaker for the most part in terms of precipitation, minus those two that have been labelled as very dangerous, which is this one here outside of Blackbutt and then this one towards the west of Crow's Nest. And they're both moving off on this direction here. And anywhere basically in this red outline is where very dangerous severe thunderstorms are possible in the coming couple of hours. So this does include Guyanda, Tyro, Gympie, Goomeri, Kingaroy, but especially around the Kingaroy area, which is here. Goomeri as well, Proston, Guyanda, all looking at chances of seeing significantly dangerous severe thunderstorms in the next few hours. And thank you, Bianca, for becoming a channel sponsor. Cell over Maryborough seems to be going more westward. Yeah, well, that's kind of the general trend with today, is that these thunderstorms, they've been very erratic in some of their motions. So these storms here are going in this direction here. So are the ones a bit further inland out around Chinchilla and up towards Taroom. And then these thunderstorms here across the northern parts of Queensland, that's a very badly drawn arrow, including Bundaberg, are more sort of heading north, if not northwesterly. And even this one's here around Maryborough are now beginning to flank off towards the west and the east as well, with a few of the thunderstorms further south moving towards the southeast, and then also conversely some of them moving towards the north. So it is a mixed bag of where these thunderstorms are going. They are moving in all sorts of directions. Thank you, Awkwards, for becoming a channel sponsor. Thank you to everybody that's become a channel sponsor. I believe would be close to 70 or 75 members on the channel, so massively appreciated. And to everybody that's also sent through a channel donation as well, that's massively appreciated too. And you can see it is lightning. It is like being flashbanged, the amount of lightning going on now. Tall thunderclouds, 2. Maroochydore, big thunderclouds. Outside of Rainbow Beach, big thunderclouds, 2. Just a very convectively active and unstable picture. Yeah, well, I'm going to start branching out to some educational content, radar interpretation, that sort of stuff eventually. Just too busy with storm season right now. Like I said, one-man show, it's a bit difficult to pump out content sometimes. But yeah, we're definitely going to branch out into something like that. So stick around for that and subscribe if you haven't already, of course. And thank you so much to all of the support. I mean, watching from Cyclone Alfred, following every update. Thank you so much for that. North Brisbane looking, especially tomorrow, big storm potential. As we've been talking about, Brisbane Ridge, Samford Valley up towards Caboolture, Redcliffe, those locations. If we were to just refresh as well, big severe thunderstorm potential in this red outline. This will also extend down in towards New South Wales, or a big part of New South Wales. So this is where our strongest severe thunderstorms are expected to be tomorrow. And then later on in the afternoon and evening, big thunderstorms or big squall lines are expected to move up into this blue circle as well. And this will also include the Brisbane area. Big squall lines expected, and they could be very powerful with embedded supercell thunderstorms as well. Thank you so much for doing that, Bob. Caress the like button. Some of the things that I see in the chat, they never fail to impress me. I wouldn't be the same without it, so I have to say massive thank you. But yeah, it is a busy picture. Lots going on. That Blackbutt storm still packing a punch. Strong reflectivity readings within it. It is quite substantially stronger than what the readings I'm seeing on the screen right now. You're still around that 65 decibel mark. And even the Coolpie one will move right over the top of Coolpie right now, which is a pretty small community, albeit, but still some pretty intense hailstones moving through there. And just as that radar updates, still some pretty intense hailstones within it. That Blackbutt storm still got that very intense hail core within it too. Yeah, Supercell New Gosford, seen that. Western Sydney, yeah, so what these storms are doing now, they're beginning to upscale. So, yeah, these storms here, we've got embedded supercells. This is actually very similar to what we're going to see tomorrow in the Brisbane area, just like on steroids at night. So just lines of thunderstorms with embedded supercells like the one down here south of Boral and through Mossvale. And then these will push through some of these areas later on into the evening hours and cause all sorts of problems for those locations. And that's what we're expecting pretty much tomorrow afternoon and evening through Southeast Queensland. Yeah, Brisbane has effectively had its weather dome on today because we haven't seen any thunderstorms into the Brisbane area as we just played through. Gradsky, thank you so much for becoming a channel sponsor. What's to go with the Noosa area? So moving north now to Noosa, we do have the remnants of that Maroochydore storm that's very much on its way out now, but it's holding onto the coastline. It's hugging the coast. Coolum's about to get some mildly heavy rainfall. It looks like the cell is still moving out to sea, and the amount of lightning is really beginning to decrease, but with Noosa up here where that blue X is, there are chances of seeing some more rainfall. Probably in the next 25 minutes or so is when Noosa's going to see that rainfall. But yeah, there's still a chance, and we could be seeing some rainfall into that Noosa area. What's going on in Brisbane? Like I said, nothing much. We are now beginning to see a bit of a developing storm just towards or between Ipswich up towards Brisbane. Again, like severe thunderstorms are not widely expected through Brisbane, but multicellular storms are possible. And in the next hour or so, likely an uptick in shower activity through the Brisbane city area, and especially through her southern suburbs south of the river. We'll see an uptick in shower and isolated storm activity, and that could result in some washed out trick or treating plans. Bob H, thank you for becoming a channel sponsor. Yeah, Logan has missed out on the thunderstorms today. They won't tomorrow, but these storms collapsed into themselves, as we expected as well. I mean, it's still a bit of a cell, but you can see there's just clusters of like heavier stuff contrasted with lighter stuff or nothing at all moving through, and that's a true multicellular thunderstorm. They're not quick moving though. That one further south around the Rathdowney area, so our Rathdowney Blue Nut Bow Desert storm, storms, that's a true multicellular thunderstorm. We've got that strong cell here along the border, and then we've got cells just left, right, and centre. Some of them dropping hail as well, likely some small hailstones around the Boonah, and just towards the southwest of Bow Desert. In the next 15 minutes, we may see some hail in the Bow Desert area too. Supercell makes it all the way to Noosa. Definitely a possibility. Well, it's not a supercell anymore, so let's just start off with that. But it's going to be a lot weaker by the time it gets itself to Noosa, so that large to potentially giant hailstone risk is going to be pretty minimal. But yeah, in terms of what we're expecting for Noosa, it could get quite strong, could get a little bit ugly briefly, but yeah, nothing crazy. Will Agnes get hit? It's up near Bundaberg. We do have some storms around the Agnes Water area, but they're just too close to the coastline. They won't see anything. It looks like Gladstone is going to see a storm or two in the next hour or so, if they're not seeing one already. But we do have that cell here that's throwing out a lot of lightning, and that looks like it's going to maybe move over the Gladstone area. It's definitely going to impact locations such as Banabi and towards the northwest of Turkey Beach. Gladstone, though, still a bit of an unknown as to whether or not we're going to see significant stuff there, and I'd probably err on the side of saying likely not. And even these storms down here, the Blackbutt and Oakey storm now beginning to upscale, and it looks like it's actually joining a much larger line of multicellular thunderstorms, and they're just going to track towards the northwest, so Gympie now likely to see storms in the next hour or so. Lots of lightning in these, lots of heavy rainfall or on and off heavy rainfall, small hailstones, even large hailstones also a possibility. It looks like the brunt of this storm here, which will be the first cell moving into the Gympie area in about 40 minutes or so, that could drop some large hailstones, but I wouldn't expect anything nutty in the Gympie area right now. It's going to be on its weakening trend once it gets down there. Chris Owen, thank you for that generous tip too. That storm near Boona starting to rotate. Let's have a look and see if it is. No update from Bomb just yet. In terms of the Boona storm, there's probably, it's going to appear like there is rotation in it because, like I said, it's a multicellular storm, so there's lots of like differences in wind. We've got that storm towards the north of Blackbutt and outside of Jimna now starting to rotate as well, and in fact a very defined rotation couplet now that's moving out towards Mount Binga. I'll touch on that in just a second, but those Boona cells, whilst it looks like there's rotation, it's just because it's a multicellular system and there's a lot of stuff developing within it. There's a lot of separate thunderstorms which are pushing winds out in different directions. That's why it looks like there is rotation on this map here. But anyways, let's touch on that Mount Binga storm here towards the north of Hayden. Yeah, that's a powerful supercell thunderstorm in the making for sure. I'll go back over to the windy radar here. So that is this storm here. Yes, it's this storm here. Very much has developed nicely in the last couple of moments. Lots of lightning embedded within it. Quite strong. And yeah, good rotation in that. That's very likely a supercell. Just stopping this on the latest Doppler frames here. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. So you can see this area just here, that rotation couplet where we've got these winds rotating around as this storm moves off towards the northwest. It's going to move over Yarraman as a supercell or just towards the east of Yarraman or southeast of Yarraman. It will likely bypass Blackbutt, and then eventually you can see that second cell towards the top of your screen here. That's moving on towards the Gympie area at this time as well, but that's well to the east of Kingaroy. And Drew, thank you so much for that generous donation. Yeah, looking black around Gladstone, but it is dying down that cell now. Yeah, that was terrible news, what happened outside of Noosa yesterday from those thunderstorms. Just devastating when I read that. And it's the danger that these storms have. I mean, lightning isn't normally the main threat from these thunderstorms, especially at this time of the year, but it can cause devastation. And we saw that yesterday, and it was just truly heartbreaking to see. So, severe thunderstorms, you just got to be ready for them. You got to know what you're expecting, know what's coming through, and heed all of these warnings. Treat all of these warnings with respect, because these thunderstorms, they pack punches. They do. They mean business. At this time of the year, these thunderstorms are strong, powerful, gnarly, and just full of it. Lots of lightning now developing around this Blackbutt storm. It's upscaling now, and just the amount of lightning that's going off in this storm here towards there. Well, here's Jimna. This is towards the northwest of Jimna, or just towards the west-northwest of Jimna. And then Gympie is up on the top-hand side of your screen here, around here. That's Gympie. And then this storm here likely to be moving on that path. It could miss Gympie just towards the west, looking at its latest track. But Gympie's still likely to hear some loud thunder bangs, that's for sure, and also some pretty significant rainfall and winds possible in the Gympie area. Crazen, thank you so much for becoming a channel sponsor. Much appreciated. Of course, if you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing, and also leave a like on the video while you're at it. Or the stream, I should say. Possible giant hailstones, yeah. Yeah, well, in this storm here outside of Jimna, possible giant hailstones. Probably more likely on the likely giant hailstones in this severe thunderstorm. I don't normally see storms this strong. No, I have been looking at Sydney and Newcastle, and I do very much care about Sydney and Newcastle on the storm scene, but we're very tied up with Southeast Queensland, and that is also in the title, and I don't want to be clickbaiting people at all. But yeah, we do have some strong storms moving south of Penrith into the new airport right now. Big readings there, likely some sporadic large hailstones. Moss Vale as well, pretty big thunderstorms are developing down there, but now upscaling into those high precipitation squall lines, and a strong supercell thunderstorm also looks to be developing here with a potent hail core, readings around that 70 decibel mark here, well to the north of Wiseman's Ferry, and and Richmond, about an hour or so north of Richmond. 33 mil of rain now at Noosa. Significant stuff. Parker Reed, thank you for that generous donation. Can we tell us what we are expecting in Ipswich tomorrow? Big storms in Ipswich tomorrow, that is for sure. We will be looking at the risk of large hailstones, damaging winds, or locally destructive winds, potentially giant hailstones as well at that, heavy rainfall, flash flooding, lots of lightning, lots of thunderstorm activity expected around the Ipswich area. Now, we've got 2 separate rounds of these thunderstorms coming through. First is going to start from about midday onwards. That's our supercell risk, which is going to develop in these areas here and then carry on towards the Ipswich area, which is not quite there. Ipswich is right here. These supercell thunderstorms will then carry on into Southeast Queensland, and then as we push things forward into the later afternoon hours, we're going to see squall lines developing in the evening, and these will have embedded severe thunderstorms and supercell thunderstorms within them as they push closer to the coastline. So think of it as a double whammy tomorrow. There'll be heaps of live coverage on the CyclonesOZ channel and also over on the Facebook page as well, so make sure you are subscribed so that you are in the know of what to expect and when these thunderstorms are going to be moving through for your location. What a storm outbreak today has been, and yeah, it's just looking more and more potent for tomorrow. I will get to an update on the on what we're expecting tomorrow. I'll do that at the end of this stream as well, and I'll clip that and I'll put that over on the YouTube page later. But yeah, very significant severe thunderstorm potential for tomorrow afternoon and evening across Southeast Queensland. And I'll get to that full update in just a second. These thunderstorms towards the east of Kingaroy, this one here, very powerful indeed. No update just yet. It's about 20 minutes old now. Still labelled as very dangerous. And very dangerous thunderstorm risks through much of the southeast coast and parts of the Burnett forecast district, particularly in the South Burnett, stopping at Toowoomba. And thunderstorms as well now developing in a non-severe multicellular capacity out towards the west of Chinchilla, both southwest and northwest of Chinchilla. Yeah, Brisbane City area storm risk very minimal now. Thunderstorms aren't going to get themselves going now. They're not going to get themselves going at all. A couple of light showers are moving through here and there. Yeah. Yeah, Logan City has, I wouldn't say copped a big hit from these thunderstorms. I mean, 55 decibels is at the very worst small hailstones, but crossing over the Logan River now, we do have a bit of a thunderstorm there, and that is now very much weakening on its way out, moving over the radar site, and eventually out into the Mudflats area, north of Russell Island. Update on the thunderstorm warnings from BOM. Let's have a look, see if we can find something to see. Not just yet. Not just yet. Severe thunderstorms still very widespread though. One minute ago. Well, we'll have to probably wait for my laptop to catch up to tell us what is going on severe thunderstorm wise through, or on the latest update at least, through Southeast Queensland. Give us an idea of what is going on, what we can expect as we track these storms moving through. Very, very big stuff. I did not expect today to end up being like this. We've had some giant hailstones. Just got home to Coomera. Yeah, there's some cracks of lightning here and there, but there's a lot of lightning towards your southwest out here, south of Bow Desert. A bit of a hail core developing in this thunderstorm here. 65 decibels, nothing to shrug at. But this multicellular thunderstorm here, very slow moving, and it's not really doing much. It's tracking slowly towards the, or very slowly, towards the west. Not the west, the east rather. But I just don't think it's going to hold its intensity until it gets itself over towards the Gold Coast. I mean, this is kind of the maximum theoretical extent of where it can go. And even these cells here, like if they can get themselves out towards the Nerang River, that would be impressive. I don't think they're going to get themselves to the Gold Coast. I think they're going to stop kind of on that red line there. Get themselves into the hinterland, that's basically it. A couple of strong thunderstorm cells here down south of Rathdowney, or just towards the southwest of Rathdowney, rather along the New South Wales-Queensland border. Hail cores in there. Could be some heavy precipitation and some small hailstones. Let's have a look at that blackbutt storm. Requested to look at the Doppler, see what's going on there. Yeah, a little bit of rotation still going on. Was stronger a little while ago, and we've still got that strong rotation now around Mount Binga. That storm was most certainly a supercell. Both of them have most certainly been supercell thunderstorms. But yeah, now moving towards Mount Binga, it looks like this storm is also beginning to upscale, and they're going to combine into a multicellular system. Yeah, storms and rain on the forecast tomorrow in Caboolture. If you didn't cop them earlier this afternoon, you're going to cop them tomorrow afternoon. And I will get to the full forecast for tomorrow in just a sec. Wow, wow, wow. Running out of water here. Yeah, multicellular thunderstorms now. It looks like what's going to happen, and we talked about this about 20 minutes ago. You can see this storm here upscaling, but all of these storms here are now beginning to join in on each other, and we're likely to see these kind of all upscale into just one big thunderstorm, like what we're seeing down here around the Boono, Rathdowney sort of area, Bow Desert, and also out here towards the north of Miles. So, yeah, these storms are going to get more widespread over the next couple of hours, but eventually they're going to start weakening off as well. And it looks like the risk is also going to begin to progressively drop down too. Cloud cover tomorrow could affect these thunderstorms, and it could affect them quite significantly, so we're going to have to watch that quite closely. Anyways, Lizzie Bentley, thank you so much for that very generous donation. Massively appreciated. Yeah, looking pretty bad. Anyways, let's get into that forecast right now and actually have a look at what's going on in terms of what we can expect for tomorrow afternoon and evening. We are definitely looking at some pretty significant thunderstorm chances. You can see right now through Southeast Queensland, it's been an extensive outbreak. It's outperformed what we were looking at yesterday, but tomorrow is looking even more special. And if we have a look at the forecast modelling and just play it through briefly, you can see just such an extensive array of thunderstorms is expected through Southeast Queensland and even up into the Capricornia coastline as well. Through parts of Central Queensland is expecting thunderstorms, and right down through New South Wales, the northeast, and even down through the Hunter region and parts of the Illawarra coastline, similar to what we're seeing right now developing through parts of those regions. Strong isolated severe thunderstorms then expected to upscale, but through these parts of northeastern New South Wales, southeast Queensland, this is where we're expecting the strongest severe thunderstorm activity to occur. And again, if I am to highlight where these strongest thunderstorms are going to be, it's going to be in this zone here. So over the border into the northeast of New South Wales, these thunderstorms are going to be a little bit more isolated in nature. We're expecting very strong storms in the plains, south of the Queensland, New South Wales border around St. George and Goondiwindi. But in these sort of mountainous areas, the coastal plain around Lismore will likely see some significant storms, and out here, but into the mountainous regions, likely a bit less in the way of severe thunderstorm activity, but then we will see a resurgence in severe thunderstorm activity once again, and potentially dangerous, very strong severe thunderstorms and supercell thunderstorms expected in this area here through southeast Queensland, right through the southeast corner of Queensland, south of Toowoomba, up around the Warwick area as well, and then very significant thunderstorm activity possible out here. Both of these spots here, Boona, Bow Desert, Rathdowney, and then up in towards Ipswich, Harrisville, and even towards Brisbane as well, significant severe thunderstorm potential. Very strong severe thunderstorms as well are a possibility further up on the Sunshine Coast. These will be more high precipitation in nature. We'll have a lot of heavy rainfall embedded in these thunderstorms as well, but strong severe thunderstorm activity outside of Maryborough is possible. Squally severe thunderstorm activity tracking off towards the northwest. These thunderstorms further south, though, are going to be starting in the southwest, heading towards the northeast, like what that arrow is suggesting. Now, pushing these storms forward, the important thing to note is that we're going to be seeing two different types of thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon and evening. We're going to see those organised supercell thunderstorm activity earlier on, and then we're going to see these powerful severe thunderstorms a little bit later on in the afternoon and the evening. Strong thunderstorms expected right through 2 o'clock out to about 6 or 7 o'clock in the supercell variety. And then these thunderstorms after about 7 or 8 o'clock are going to begin upscaling in these locations here. So again, through northeastern New South Wales, right out to Warwick and Toowoomba, and then through parts of the Burnett forecast district, up the Sunshine Coast and into the Fraser coastline. And then we'll see strong squall lines of thunderstorms with embedded supercell activity within them, moving towards the coastline. They will track towards the coastline, and very significant severe thunderstorm activity is possible. This is an identical setup to what we had back in 2023 Christmas, with very powerful severe thunderstorms during that time period. We'll likely be seeing storms of a similar magnitude to what we saw Christmas 2023 as we get out towards 7 or 8 o'clock tomorrow night onto the Gold Coast and into the Brisbane city area. Very strong thunderstorm potential in those locations. So again, yeah, definitely a feature to watch. Now, the driving forces behind tomorrow's thunderstorm outbreak is extremely high convective available potential energy values. We're looking at these values here, particularly earlier on in the morning through the mid-levels around that 2,000 to 2,500, even in a few spots further out around Roma and Injured, getting closer to 3,500. Now, this is jet fuel for thunderstorms developing. This is very significant stuff. And even though it doesn't look as impressive through Southeast Queensland, where I'm saying the strongest thunderstorm activity is expected to occur, it filters through the atmosphere into the lower levels, and that's what promotes our low cloud-based high precipitation storm modes to occur. You can see the Sunshine Coast has that little hole, and I can show that here. You can see just that little hole of lower values highlighted in those greens compared to what we're looking at a little bit further out inland here, where these Cape values are a lot more extreme and a lot more red in color. And that is true. The Sunshine Coast is expecting slightly more minimal severe thunderstorm activity compared to what Southeast Queensland is looking at tomorrow afternoon and evening. But still some strong thunderstorm activity possible right up the Sunshine Coast into the Fraser coastline, and then thunderstorms having a resurgence in intensity as that moisture comes into the Capricornia coastline, and very strong thunderstorms are possible outside of Gladstone, Agnes Water, Rockhampton, and then down towards Bundaberg, Harvey Bay and Maryborough, and along Fraser Island as well. Big places to watch. Not to mention, but we've also got incredible humidity values filtering through the environment as well, particularly earlier on in the day. Thunderstorms expected further north along the Sunshine Coast, the high precipitation but non-severe stuff is expected there. But then through Southeast Queensland, a lot of humidity is going to be pouring through in these locations as well. Starting off in the surface levels at about 70 to 75%. That's incredibly favourable for thunderstorms. And even as we push this into the mid-levels as well earlier on in the day, these values holding strong at around 70 to 75% as well. Very healthy stuff for severe thunderstorm activity. Now, the 500 HPA mark, that dry slot location, you can see a lot of dry areas expected to be filtering through, especially further inland and along that plain outside of the Darling Downs and Toowoomba, and then down towards the Warwick and Stanthorpe area. Humidity values take a dip there, and even through the Brisbane and the Gold Coast area, significant dips in humidity is expected. You might be thinking, well, that's not good for severe thunderstorms. It's actually great for severe thunderstorms. That dry slot and steep lapse rates, which is something we also have as a feature on tomorrow afternoon's outbreak, is going to promote giant hailstones from developing. So very significant severe thunderstorm impacts expected, and as we push this up into the upper levels of the atmosphere as well, specifically later on into the day, these humidity values return up to 100%. So excellent conditions for severe thunderstorm potential. Very, very healthy indeed. And if we have a look at winds at the 700 HPA mark as well, where these thunderstorms are going to be pushed along, we also have some pretty fast moving thunderstorms expected later on into the night as well, along with this surface trough that's going to be sweeping through, which is where these winds do sharply increase, and that will be our trigger for thunderstorms, which you can see moving through here. And that's what's going to promote these thunderstorms later on into the day, upscaling into these squall lines with embedded supercells. And that's what's going to be raising all of these problems across Southeast Queensland and into the northeast of New South Wales, particularly into the red shading, which includes, of course, Brisbane and the Gold Coast. A very similar setup to what we had back in 2023 Christmas. I just cannot keep stressing it enough, because it is a very, very potent setup indeed. And again, just having a look at a convective sounding into the Brisbane area. This is out around the Ipswich area. It is a highly sheared environment, extreme wind shear values up around that 70 knot mark, and especially earlier on in the afternoon. This is one of the most favourable convective soundings that I've seen for severe thunderstorm and organised severe thunderstorm outbreak to occur. Dry slot evident, very moist values, and a steep drop in the temperatures from surface levels up into the lower atmosphere, which means we've got those very steep lapse rates, meaning hailstones are very likely to be large in nature. all in all, I mean, it doesn't really get much better than this for Southeast Queensland. There's also a very substantial risk of tornadoes occurring across Southeast Queensland as well. We could be talking about a very substantial risk of these tornadoes, even by Southeast Queensland standards, where we do see a couple of tornadoes developing every single storm season, specifically 4 locations in this shading here. So along that plain outside of the Warwick and the Toowoomba area, we're expecting some significant potential for tornadoes. So again, just highlighting it in a little bit more of an obvious color. Tornadoes are very possible with those earlier afternoon supercell activities that are going to be tracking through. And then as this squall line pushes through later on into the afternoon this evening, and we see embedded supercell activity within this squall line through parts of the Gold Coast and the Brisbane city area late at night, talking between 6 o'clock and 10 o'clock, we may be seeing tornado activity as well move through Southeast Queensland in some of these embedded supercell thunderstorms. At the very least, very destructive wind gusts are expected to occur from these supercells that do move through, embedded in those squall lines much later on. So the tornado risk is also going to be there. Now, in terms of what I want you all to be doing for tomorrow, again, just looking at today's outbreak, it's been a cracker. It's been a lot more than what we did expect, and you can still see these thunderstorms showing no signs of winding down anytime soon. Tomorrow, you need to be prepared for these severe thunderstorms. You need to make sure you've got your severe thunderstorm emergency plan in place. You need to make sure that you are ready for the stronger severe thunderstorms coming through. The cars need to be away, and you need to be off the road after 2 o'clock at the absolute latest. Through Southeast Queensland, you'll have a little bit more time out to maybe 3 or 4 o'clock before these severe thunderstorms pipe up, but still supercells expected in the late afternoon hours through Brisbane and the Gold Coast area, except those chances increase dramatically later tomorrow night. Stay home, stay inside, and be an armchair storm chaser. Subscribe to my channel as well, and check out my Facebook page for the latest and most up-to-date information on these severe thunderstorms as they blow through Southeast Queensland. It is a very significant outbreak on the cards, like I said, rivaling some of the most potent setup for severe thunderstorms that we've seen in recent times, particularly being compared to the 2023 setup back in Christmas, where we had very significant thunderstorms later on in the night. Again, it's got me really concerned. This is definitely going to be one of the most significant severe thunderstorm outbreaks that I've tracked on this channel, but also in my time tracking thunderstorms, it's the best setup that I've seen in over 5 years. Crazy stuff is expected to occur tomorrow, and plenty of action, plenty of stuff to keep us on our toes, that's for sure. Southeast Queensland, Northeast New South Wales, you are on notice for potentially one of the most significant severe thunderstorm outbreaks in the last couple of years. Definitely this decade is a high possibility we'll see those records fall. Very large hailstones between that 3 to 7 centimetre size is expected to occur tomorrow across a number of locations, particularly, as mentioned from earlier on in the day, in these locations here around the inland plains towards the west of Toowoomba and Warwick, but also into parts of the Boonah Desert region and around the Brisbane and the Gold Coast area in the later afternoon hours. And then in the evening, lots of heavy precipitation, lots of high precipitation storm modes moving through as this squall line pushes in, and embedded supercells could drop hailstones around that 3 to 5 centimetre mark as well. So giant hailstones also a possibility. Destructive wind gusts, as mentioned, up to 125 kilometers an hour are a possibility as well. If tornadoes occur, those wind gusts could be substantially stronger, and if tornadoes do occur in highly populated locations, extensive destruction is also a possibility. Heavy rainfall accumulations between 25 to 50 millimeters are expected through a wide swathe of locations, and if you pick up multiple thunderstorms, those numbers could get closer to 100 millimeters. Thunderstorms will not be everywhere. There will be places that do miss out, and especially over the border around the Grafton and Coffs Harbour area, in those areas here, likely to miss out on thunderstorms. They're not going to be as widespread, but definitely in this red shading here across southeastern Queensland, northeastern New South Wales, and then once again up the Capricornia coastline too, very likely to see significant severe thunderstorm activity through tomorrow afternoon and evening. Big chances for powerful severe thunderstorms. Be ready, stay informed, and make sure you are ready for these very significant thunderstorm chances that are going to come through. And that'll do it for the severe thunderstorm update. That's going to go over to YouTube as well. So if you've watched it on the live, you watched the live recording, but also a further update over on the YouTube page as well for people that are watching in over there. That's also going to do it for my coverage this afternoon and this evening. Of course, if you haven't already, then please do consider leaving a like and subscribe. Severe thunderstorms are still an ongoing threat, but I need to get more posts and more work done ahead of the storms that are coming through tomorrow. And for the most part, Brisbane and the Gold Coast no longer expecting significantly powerful severe thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening. The Rathdowney one could pose a bit of a risk into the Brisbane, into the Gold Coast area later on, but it's likely to just be a high precipitation mess at that point in time. And these storms down in towards the central coast of New South Wales, moving into the Sydney area, whilst they are severe and packing a punch, and there is some there are some big hailstones within some of these cells here, 3 to 5 centimeters in size. They are also beginning to upscale into large, powerful squall lines, so the risk there is beginning to drop down as well. This storm train that's beginning to develop, moving into the Gympie area, strong thunderstorms are possible into Gympie in the next 30 minutes or so, but again, these storms are also beginning to upscale, and if we have a look at this, you can really begin to see a potent line of thunderstorms now beginning to develop, moving into this direction here towards the north of Gympie. Now, these thunderstorms will bring heavy rainfall and some hail as well, some likely large hailstones in a few spots, and I would love to keep track of them. However, again, voices start to give out and I need to get onto other information as well. I'll be tracking them over on the Facebook page, so if you haven't already, of course, please do consider following that. Joel, thank you so much for the generous support this stream, and thank you so much for that generous donation just then. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe. Very, very important to get all of this information out tomorrow and to make sure that as many people are watching as possible. Share this stuff as well. There's lots of severe thunderstorms occurring. I'm circling them right now. Make sure you are in the know in what you're expecting for your location. And John, thank you so much for becoming a channel sponsor. Massively appreciated, that's for sure. Yeah, Redcliffe has copped it, that's for sure. But thank you so much for watching this stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. A great warm-up ahead of tomorrow's coverage, and definitely some significant stuff on the cards, that's for sure. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. Lots of information to come out on the CyclonesOZ network, so very, very excited for it. And of course, if very dangerous severe thunderstorms continue to develop around the Brisbane area, if they do develop later this afternoon and this evening, then I will be going live once again to track these severe thunderstorms to make sure that nothing too crazy does develop for these areas. But thank you so much for joining me in this 3 hours of live coverage. Keep an eye on the skies and make sure you do remain informed in regards to this severe thunderstorm situation. But that is going to do it for me this afternoon and this evening, and I will catch you all in the next storm.